Baek Hyun-woo and Hong Hae-in have been married for 3 years. In the beginning, their life was happy, but slowly their love started to fade. In the present, when Hyun-woo gives interviews to reporters, he says they are happily enjoying their married life. Hae-in also gives interviews, telling a story of perfect love. In a flashback, when Hae-in joined her own company as an intern for training, she made many mistakes. Once, she was unable to turn on a printer, and Hyun-woo helped her. Many small moments like this kept happening between them. One day, on a rainy night, Hae-in was waiting for her driver. Hyun-woo appeared, indirectly expressed his feelings, and said that if she ever lost her job, he would take care of her. He handed her an umbrella and walked away. She didn't even need the umbrella because her car arrived just then. But from that moment, she slowly started developing feelings for him. When Hyun-woo later found out that she was the daughter of the Queen's group, he stepped back and returned to his hometown. But Hae-in arrived there in a helicopter and proposed to him. In the present, even though their marriage looks perfect from the outside, Hyun-woo wants a divorce. Hae-in is highly ambitious in her professional life and very strict in business decisions. When she decided to close all branches that were running at low profit, the legal team did not give permission. Hyun-woo, who is a lawyer in her company and her legal advisor, told her not to do it, because those employees had been loyal to the company for a long time. But she still ordered the closures. And he had no choice but to obey. Baek Hyun-woo and Hong Hae-in are standing together in the elevator. Hae-in questions why Hyun-woo keeps implying to others that their relationship is going well and tells him to focus on his own people instead of interfering in others' affairs. Hyun-woo responds by pointing out that there is no real closeness left between them anymore. Hae-in remains silent. Hyun-woo then tells her to meet him in the lounge in an hour because they need to talk. Although angry, Hae-in agrees. Later, Hyun-woo waits alone in the lounge, but Hae-in never shows up. After waiting in vain, he returns home and begins preparing divorce papers. Before he can finish, Hae-in angrily calls him and tells him to attend a family meeting. When Hyun-woo arrives, Hae-in's mother, Kim Se-in, scolds him for being late. He apologizes. Hae-in's brother, Soo-chul, then orders him to handle a legal case for the family company. Hyun-woo refuses, saying he does not want to work for their company and that they already have a lawyer. Soo-chul insists, claiming the current lawyer is incapable and that Hyun-woo must handle it. Although reluctant, Hyun-woo agrees. It becomes clear that Hae-in's entire family constantly orders Hyun-woo around, while Hae-in never once stands up for him. Kim Se-in then forces her decisions onto him again, demanding that he and Hae-in begin family planning. Hyun-woo hesitates deeply but feels he has no choice. As they head to their rooms, Hyun-woo finally says that he will not have a baby just because her mother ordered it. Hae-in coldly tells him to stop complaining and just do as he is told. This completely irritates him. When Hae-in mentions their next interview, Hyun-woo snaps, saying that since they have to lie and pretend everything is fine, she can handle it alone. He storms out of the house. Hae-in remains unaffected and immediately takes a call. Later, Hae-in gets into an argument with Soo-chul in the garden. She warns him not to dominate or disrespect Hyun-woo. She beats him without hesitation. Furious and humiliated, Soo-chul angrily calls her a psychopath. She immediately turns and stares at him. Terrified, Soo-chul apologizes on the spot and runs away. At the same time, Hyun-woo is drinking with his friend Yang Ji-ae, finally venting all the frustration he has been carrying through 3 years of marriage. As he drinks more, he starts acting cute and jokes that Hae-in married him because of this very cuteness. But the laughter quickly turns into tears. Hyun-woo breaks down, asking why he is so cute and saying he never wanted to be this way. He feels that his life has been ruined because of it. Watching him like this, Yang Ji-ae feels genuinely sorry for him. Later that night, Hyun-woo comes home drunk and stops outside Hae-in's room. Inside, Hae-in hears his footsteps and walks toward the door, but Hyun-woo turns around and leaves. She quietly returns to bed. That brief moment reveals that, deep down, there is still some love left between them. Later, Hae-in looks at Hyun-woo's photos on her laptop and realizes something painful: she hasn't seen him smile genuinely in a long time. The next day is Hae-in's grandmother's memorial. According to Hong family tradition, all the sons-in-law prepare the food together. The other sons-in-law sympathize with Hyun-woo's situation, but he shuts them down, telling them to stop gossiping and focus on the work. That same day is also Hyun-woo's father's birthday. However, because of the Hong family's strict rules, Hyun-woo isn't allowed to go home. Later, Hae-in's father instructs Hyun-woo to investigate the suspicious resignation of a former employee. He coldly warns that anyone who betrays the family will not simply be fired, he will ruin their life. Hearing this, Hyun-woo immediately thinks about his divorce plans and becomes terrified. If they find out, he knows he is finished. Overwhelmed, Hyun-woo goes to the hospital and confides in a doctor about his stress, anxiety, and constant tension. Finally, he admits that he hates his wife and her family. Although he thinks about getting a divorce, fear of Hae-in's father keeps him trapped. The doctor advises him to get away from them, but Hyun-woo knows that option doesn't exist for him. Feeling sorry for him, the doctor watches as Hyun-woo cheerfully hugs him and leaves. Soon after, Grace, the Hong family's butler, approaches Hyun-woo. She reveals that Hae-in wrote her will before marrying him, and if she dies, all her property will go to her family. Enraged, Hyun-woo orders her to get out of his room. After she leaves, he sits alone, lost in thought, feeling more miserable than ever. Hae-in suddenly receives a call from the hospital. The doctor asks her to come immediately. The news leaves her completely shaken. On her way there, she runs into Hyun-woo and asks him to come with her. To her shock, he coldly refuses and walks away. He has never spoken to her like that in the office before, and she stands there stunned. Soon after, Hyun-woo returns to his hometown to meet his parents. There, he tells his family about his plan to divorce Hae-in. Everyone urges him to think carefully before making such a decision, but Hyun-woo ignores their advice and remains firm. When Hyun-woo later goes to give Hae-in the divorce papers, she calmly tells him the truth: she only has 3 months left to live. Inside, Hyun-woo feels relieved, even happy. He thinks he won't even need a divorce anymore. All he has to do is wait. But on the outside, he pretends to be devastated, hugging her and saying he doesn't know how he'll live without her. Hae-in is startled by his reaction and asks if he really believes he can't live without her. When he says yes, she coldly responds that he should die with her. She reminds him that in ancient times, couples were burned together when one died. Hyun-woo panics, asking how she can joke about something so serious. When he nervously asks if she's serious, Hae-in tells him to stop pretending. Only then does he relax. Hyun-woo makes her sit down and asks her to explain everything. Hae-in reveals that the day she asked him to come with her, she was actually going to the hospital. She describes suddenly feeling frozen, losing consciousness, and waking up in front of a doctor. She was diagnosed with a rare brain tumor called cloud-cytomia. Because of it, she suffers memory loss, hallucinations, and severe headaches. She has only 3 months left, and surgery is extremely risky. That's also why she missed meeting him that day. By the time she remembered, it was already too late. For the first time in her life, she admits she was truly afraid. Hyun-woo pretends to be heartbroken, awkwardly saying that knowing she only has 3 months left will make it impossible for him to sleep. After telling her to rest, he leaves. The next morning, Hyun-woo sleeps deeply and wakes up feeling refreshed. Looking at himself in the mirror, he notices a smile forming naturally on his face. Realizing this could be dangerous, he reminds himself to look sad, or he might end up dying with her. When he enters Hae-in's room, she lies completely still. Nervously, he lifts her hand to check if she's dead. As he leans in to check her breathing, Hae-in suddenly speaks, startling him. Panicked, Hyun-woo kisses her and quickly calls it a good morning kiss. Hae-in looks at him carefully and remarks that his face looks unusually bright, as if he slept very well. Hyun-woo casually replies that he didn't sleep well at all. But the moment Hae-in turns away, he stumbles, panics, and, afraid his real emotions might slip. On the way to the hospital, Hae-in firmly warns him that no one must find out about her illness. If this secret leaks, she says, it will be his responsibility. Hyun-woo asks if she plans to tell her family, but Hae-in immediately shuts that down. Soo-chul has always been waiting for a chance to bring her down, and her mother is no different. If they find out, she believes they will kick her out and fight over her property. To her, everyone in that family only cares about money. There is no such thing as real family affection. Hearing this, Hyun-woo feels an unexpected sense of sympathy for her. After another hospital checkup, the results remain unchanged. The diagnosis is confirmed. Hyun-woo tries to get an exact timeline from the doctor, but the doctor admits there's no precise answer. Frustrated and irritated, Hae-in storms out of the hospital. Outside, she notices another patient and briefly wonders if that will be her future too. She immediately rejects the thought, telling herself that she's different and that nothing will happen to her. When Hae-in returns home, she runs straight into her mother, who is furious about Soo-chul. Hae-in says she's dealing with something serious, but her mother continues talking only about Soo-chul. How he was scolded by Grandpa so badly that he had a panic attack. Hae-in sarcastically asks if that made her happy, then repeats that she's facing a serious situation and asks if her mother even wants to know what it is. Her mother coldly replies that Hae-in always handles her own problems, so there's no need for her to know. The words cut deeply. Hae-in tells her she'll handle everything herself, but warns her to stop interfering. Or she'll make Soo-chul suffer so badly that she won't be able to watch. This moment clearly hints that Hae-in's mother harbors resentment toward her. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo meets his friend. His friend agrees to take on the divorce case, but Hyun-woo suddenly says there's no need anymore, he's found a middle path. Confused, his friend asks what he means. Hyun-woo tells him to meet him in the parking lot. With exaggerated caution, they head there under full security, scanning their surroundings to make sure no one is watching. Hyun-woo leans out of the car window and quietly whispers the truth into his friend's ear, Hae-in is going to die. His friend is completely stunned. Later, his friend tells him that it seems even God is on his side. If Hyun-woo had divorced, he would have gotten nothing, but once Hae-in dies, he could inherit Queen's group. Hyun-woo calmly shuts that down, saying it won't happen because Hae-in already wrote her will, and he won't receive anything. His friend smirks and says that wills can always be changed. He reminds Hyun-woo that he has 3 months. All he needs to do is love Hae-in deeply, take care of her, and make her feel cherished. Eventually, she'll start thinking about changing her will. Hyun-woo immediately shuts his friend down, saying that he didn't marry Hae-in for money and that he isn't that kind of person. Yet in the very next scene, he appears standing in front of Hae-in with a huge bouquet of flowers and a bright smile. Hae-in looks at him in confusion and asks why he brought flowers. Hyun-woo calmly reminds her that it's their wedding anniversary. Hae-in responds indifferently, asking what that has to do with anything. Hyun-woo explains that on their first anniversary, he prepared a lot, but she dismissed it, saying there was no point. On their second anniversary, he did nothing, and she got angry, saying that just because she said no once didn't mean he should do nothing forever. That's why, this time, he brought flowers. Hae-in suspects he's mocking her. Hyun-woo denies it, pointing out that if he were mocking her, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble of bringing flowers. Hae-in says their relationship hasn't been good enough to celebrate. Hyun-woo replies that relationships are what people make of them, and they can turn it into something lovely anytime. He hands her the bouquet and walks away. Left alone, Hae-in can't help but feel confused. Something about him feels different. She puts the flowers aside, but after a moment, she quietly calls for a flower pot and carefully places them inside. The next morning at breakfast, Hyun-woo suddenly sits beside her. Hae-in is visibly shocked. Hyun-woo casually says that since it's just the two of them eating, there's no reason to sit so far apart, and that from now on, he'll sit beside her every day. The two stare at each other in silence. Then, Hyun-woo peels a shrimp and shapes it into a heart before placing it on her plate. The maids, watching this scene unfold, are completely stunned. Even Hae-in herself doesn't know how to react. Later at the office, Hyun-woo is in the middle of a presentation when Hae-in lets out a small cough. He immediately stops speaking and rushes to her side. Hyun-woo immediately calls for a doctor. Feeling embarrassed, Hae-in insists that it's nothing serious and that she simply drank some water the wrong way. Still, everyone in the meeting is left completely shocked by Hyun-woo's sudden concern. Later, outside the office, Hae-in waits for her car in the cold. Just then, Hyun-woo arrives. Without hesitation, he drapes his coat over her shoulders, gently touches her face, and warns her that she'll catch a cold. Before she can react, he quietly takes her hand and slips it into his pocket. Hae-in freezes in shock. Her secretary, witnessing everything, is just as stunned. Hyun-woo calmly asks the secretary to bring the car. In that moment, it becomes clear that Hae-in is actually enjoying this unexpected warmth. When the car arrives, Hyun-woo opens the door for her and places his hand protectively above the frame. The secretary watches in disbelief as the two drive away, muttering that it would have been better if they had just continued fighting. Inside the car, Hyun-woo looks unusually cheerful. Hae-in tells him that she warned him not to put on an act. Hyun-woo replies that he doesn't even know how to act. Hae-in scoffs, pointing out that everything he just did was exactly that, a performance, and tells him to stop the drama. Hyun-woo quickly apologizes and sits quietly. That evening, Hae-in sits down for dinner with her family when her mother suddenly brings up filing a lawsuit against her over a department store built on family property. Hae-in reminds her that she herself had given permission, but her mother coldly responds that the legal team now has objections, leaving her no choice but to sue. Hae-in loses her temper, accusing her mother of doing this simply to retaliate over Soo-cheol. As she yells, Hyun-woo notices her hands trembling. An obvious symptom of her illness. Without hesitation, he reaches out, holds her hand, and calmly says that he will handle the lawsuit. He insists that Hae-in isn't feeling well and that they should leave immediately. Inside the elevator, Hyun-woo gently points out that she wants to keep her illness a secret, but she almost exposed herself earlier when her hands started shaking in anger. Hae-in admits that she shouldn't have lost her temper, but tells him that his recent behavior is making things worse. If anyone becomes suspicious, it will be because of him, not her. She tells him to go back to how he used to be. To stop pretending to care, eat quietly, and leave like before. With that, she pulls her hand away and walks off. Later that night, Hyun-woo goes drinking with Young-ji. He bitterly admits that there is no hope left for their marriage and that they've lived like strangers for 3 years. Young-ji reminds him of the past, how deeply Hae-in once loved him, how she flew a helicopter to his hometown just to win him back, and how she went against her parents to marry him. Young-ji tells him that no matter how much they deny it, somewhere deep down, Hae-in still loves him. Meanwhile, far away, Hyun-woo's parents quietly watch a shooting star cross the night sky. Hyun-woo's father quietly says that before Hae-in was born, he once dreamed of a shooting star and became convinced they would have a daughter. But the moment Hae-in's name is mentioned, the faint smile on her mother's face disappears. She turns to leave, but her husband stops her. He tells her not to be so harsh on Hae-in, that it's time to let go and move forward. Her emotions finally spill over. She says that everyone else may have moved on, but not a single day has passed where she hasn't thought about Soo-hyun. For her husband, his death belongs to the past, but for her, the pain returns every single day. With tears in her eyes, she says she can never forgive the person responsible for her son's death, and she will never treat everyone equally. Unseen at a distance, Hae-in overhears everything. Her eyes slowly fill with tears. She begins to wonder if she somehow played a role in Soo-hyun's death, and if that is the reason her mother has always resented her. That same night, Hyun-woo searches endlessly about Hae-in's brain tumor. He reads case after case, patients with the same condition who survived, who recovered, who lived. Each story fills him with quiet sadness. He keeps searching for hours, refusing to stop. Late at night, Hae-in returns home and heads toward her room. Just as she's about to enter, she suddenly thinks of Hyun-woo. She turns around and walks to his room instead. Inside, she finds him asleep at his desk. She gently wakes him and tells him to sleep on the bed. That's when her eyes fall on his laptop. Dozens of tabs are open, every single one about brain tumors. She freezes. In that moment, she realizes that despite everything, he still cares about her. Hyun-woo wakes up and asks why she's there. She tells him not to sleep like that and to use the bed. He agrees and tells her to go rest as well. As she turns to leave, she suddenly stops. She admits that she thought he would be happy to hear that she was dying. She believed his sudden kindness was just an act, and she apologizes for doubting him. She hadn't realized that he genuinely cared. Hyun-woo tells her not to lose hope. He reminds her that medical miracles happen all the time. Hearing this, Hae-in slowly steps closer. Hyun-woo instinctively steps back, uncertain. She smiles faintly and tells him not to worry, no matter what happens, she will live. Nothing will happen to her. Then, in a softer voice, she adds that he is the only person who truly wants her to survive. Hyun-woo is momentarily stunned before admitting that it's true, he does want her to live. Hae-in smirks slightly and tells him not to worry. She won't die so easily, not just for him. Elsewhere, a party is in full swing. Hae-in arrives to meet the company president and unexpectedly runs into an old college acquaintance. The woman leans in and points out the president's right-hand man, Yoon-sung. She then casually mentions the rumors about Hae-in and Hyun-woo's divorce, suggesting that it must be why Hyun-woo didn't come with her. Without hesitation, Hae-in calls Hyun-woo and asks him to come. Meanwhile, Yoon-sung notices Hae-in and approaches her. It's revealed that he once had a crush on her in college, one she rejected. Now, fate has placed him in front of her again as a key figure in the very company she needs investment from. As they talk, the company president arrives. Just then, her college acquaintance mocks her again, pointing out that Hyun-woo still hasn't shown up. Suddenly, Hae-in feels dizzy. Her body sways. At that exact moment, Hyun-woo appears and catches her before she falls. Hae-in looks up at him in surprise. Hyun-woo smirks and explains that he wrapped up his cases as quickly as possible. Just for her. After that, the two of them meet the company president. Hyun-woo is then introduced to Yoon-sung and learns that he and Hae-in were classmates. As they talk, Yoon-sung casually brings up their past, carefully watching Hyun-woo's reaction. With a faint smirk, Yoon-sung points out that hearing about him doesn't seem to bother Hyun-woo at all. He suggests there are only two possibilities, either Hyun-woo trusts Hae-in completely, or he doesn't care about her at all. Hyun-woo doesn't respond. As Yoon-sung walks away, Hyun-woo clenches his jaw and mutters to himself that it's infuriating how that man figured him out so easily. But the truth is, seeing Hae-in standing so close to Yoon-sung makes his chest tighten. He feels jealous, he's just not ready to admit it. Soon after, influenced by Butler Grace's words, Hae-in's mother calls her and gives her an order. She tells Hae-in to invite Yoon-sung to join the family for a hunting trip, mentioning that his family used to hunt with them every year using helicopters. Hae-in immediately refuses. But her mother coldly tells her that if she wants forgiveness, she must invite him. With no other choice, Hae-in agrees. The very next day, Yoon-sung joins the family for the hunting trip. Hae-in, Hyun-woo, and Yoon-sung all end up in the same helicopter. Throughout the flight, Hae-in talks only with Yoon-sung, laughing and engaging with him, while Hyun-woo sits silently, burning with jealousy. Once they arrive, Grandpa divides everyone into teams and gives strict safety instructions. He warns them about wild boars in a certain area. Even though the land is enclosed with a grid, he emphasizes that no one should lower their guard. Haein and Hyunwoo begin searching for prey together. At one point, Haein tells him that at least this time, he should make a kill, because Grandpa is very upset with him. Hyunwoo firmly responds that he cannot take the life of an innocent animal just to please someone. He admits that he hates hunting. Hearing this, Haein says that she'll hunt even more than before today. Without another word, she walks away, and the two split up. Elsewhere, Yoon-sung spots prey and prepares to shoot. Just as he's about to pull the trigger, Hyunwoo suddenly appears and fires into the air, scaring the deer away. Yoon-sung turns toward him, clearly irritated. Hyunwoo calmly tells him to hunt in his own assigned area. Meanwhile, Haein wanders alone, unable to focus. Suddenly, her mind freezes. The world around her feels as if it's covered in snow. Strange reflections flood her thoughts, hands submerged in water, a girl standing in front of a school, and then flashes of Hyunwoo's memories. Before she can make sense of it, she snaps back to reality and sees a wild boar charging straight toward her at full speed. She freezes and closes her eyes. At that exact moment, Hyunwoo steps in front of her and shoots the boar. Haein opens her eyes, staring at him in shock. The story then shifts to 3 years earlier, back to the moment Hyunwoo discovered Haein's true identity. After learning the truth, he resigned from his job and returned to his hometown. There, he was completely miserable, constantly thinking about her. He wondered what she might be doing at that moment, whether she was angrily kicking some machine or being scolded by someone again. Even while sitting at the dinner table, he admitted that he couldn't enjoy the food because he missed her too much. Seeing this, Hyunwoo's mother told him plainly that if he felt that way, he should just marry her, and that he already had their permission. Hearing those words, Hyunwoo blushed deeply. He said that he would marry her and always protect her. For the first time in a long while, he smiled brightly. The memory shifts again. This time to 4 years earlier, when Hyunwoo and Haein had just started dating. Back then, he brought her to his village, proudly showing her the place where he grew up. Hyunwoo also takes her to his flower garden, proudly showing her the place he nurtured with care. After that, he brings her to his small store and hands her an ice scoop. Ha-yeon looks at it with curiosity and excitement. She's tasting something like this for the very first time. Seeing her reaction, Hyunwoo suddenly feels a tight ache in his chest. He starts thinking that maybe Ha-yeon grew up in a very poor family. So poor that she couldn't even afford something as simple as an ice scoop in her childhood. Without realizing it, sympathy fills his heart. He looks at her seriously and tells her that she doesn't need to hide anything from him, because he already knows everything. Confused, Ha-yeon asks what he thinks he knows. Hyunwoo explains that she always wears old clothes, and even the outfit she's wearing now looks like something his grandmother would wear. Hearing this, Ha-yeon is left completely speechless. She immediately tells him that he's misunderstood, she's not poor at all. But Hyunwoo doesn't back down. Instead, he earnestly tells her that he accepts her no matter what. No matter how much debt her family might have, no matter what kind of situation she's in, he promises that he will always protect her. Hearing this, Ha-yeon quietly looks at him, and then smiles. This is the memory that flashes through Ha-yeon's mind in that very moment. When the wild boar is charging toward her at full speed. And just then, Hyunwoo appears and shoots the boar. Ha-yeon is left frozen in shock, struggling to understand what just happened. Moments later, Hyun-sung rushes over, anxiously asking if she's okay. Hyunwoo immediately steps in, saying that Ha-yeon needs rest right now, and firmly takes her away from the scene. Ha-yeon has injured her foot and can't walk properly, so Hyunwoo lifts her into his arms. Feeling his closeness, Ha-yeon starts blushing. Hyunwoo teasingly asks if this isn't a bit too much. Ha-yeon smiles and replies that maybe on any other day it would be, but today she's injured, so he can carry her. Everyone around them is stunned to see Hyun-woo carrying Ha-yeon like this. Her brother quickly goes to their mother and informs her that Ha-yeon is injured. Hearing this, her mother becomes deeply worried. At the same time, everyone can't help but admire Hyun-woo's bravery. Ha-yeon's brother admits that he thought Hyun-woo didn't even know how to shoot a gun. On the other side, Ha-yeon's father, clearly impressed, says that taking down a wild boar with a single shot is no easy feat, it's definitely not something just anyone can do. At that moment, Ha-yeon calmly reveals that Hyun-woo was the best shooter in the military. Everyone is shocked. Later, Hyun-woo returns to the forest to examine where the wild boar came from. He notices a broken fence and bushes trampled to the ground, clear signs that something was wrong. That evening, during dinner, Hyun-woo tells everyone that this wasn't an accident. Someone had deliberately caused it. Hearing this, Ha-yeon's grandfather firmly says that he will personally review all the footage. After that, everyone finally sits down to eat. During the meal, Ha-yeon's father gives Hyun-woo an unusual amount of attention. He speaks to him warmly, asks about him, and even praises him in front of everyone. Hyun-woo is completely stunned. This is the first time he has ever received this kind of importance from Ha-yeon's family. Nearby, Ha-yeon's grandfather takes a liking to the caretaker's dog and casually remarks that he wants to buy it. The caretaker immediately apologizes and explains that the dog is family and cannot be sold. Not long after, Hyun-sung quietly goes to the caretaker's house and buys the dog anyway, offering 100 million won in exchange. That night, Hyun-woo has no choice but to sleep in the same room as Ha-yeon. Nervous and awkward, he enters the room and carefully lies down on the bed. Ha-yeon asks where he had gone, then suddenly tells him to help unbutton her shirt. Caught off guard, Hyun-woo hesitates, but helps her. Then she asks why he isn't taking off his clothes. Hyun-woo freezes, staring at her in shock. Seeing his reaction, Ha-yeon casually clarifies that she meant he should take a shower. Flustered, Hyun-woo quickly agrees and rushes into the bathroom. Left alone, Ha-yeon can't stop thinking about what happened earlier, how Hyun-woo appeared like a hero and saved her without hesitation. She quietly scolds herself, wondering why she's thinking about him so much. Just then, Hyun-woo comes out of the bathroom wearing only a towel, explaining that there was no bathrobe inside. Ha-yeon stares at him longer than she should, her thoughts spiraling as she briefly wonders if he's trying to seduce her, before immediately telling herself to stop thinking nonsense. She grabs her clothes and goes into the bathroom herself. Even there, her mind keeps drifting back to Hyun-woo. Suddenly, he walks in, startling her. She asks why he's there, and he awkwardly explains that he forgot to clean the floor, knowing how much she dislikes that. She scoffs and asks if he thinks he's some kind of movie hero. Hyun-woo doesn't understand what she means. She tells him to go dry his hair, and he quickly leaves the bathroom. Later that night, both of them lie awake on the bed, unable to sleep, their thoughts tangled, their hearts quietly restless. Hyun-woo suddenly comments that the bed feels too small, even though there is clearly plenty of space between them. Ha-yeon looks at him calmly and reminds him that there was once a time when they used to sleep while holding each other. Hyun-woo is taken aback, he doesn't remember it at all. She then asks him if he remembers the first time she visited his hometown. A flashback unfolds. It was the first time Hyun-woo had brought her to his town. He showed her his room, which was filled wall to wall with awards and certificates. Ha-yeon looked at them with genuine admiration, quietly impressed. That night, Hyun-woo asked her to stay over, and she agreed. Instead of sleeping right away, the two of them spent the entire night watching the moon together, eventually falling asleep side by side on that single bed. Back in the present, Hyun-woo wonders aloud how they had managed to sleep so easily back then, sharing such a small space. After a brief pause, Ha-yeon asks if he would like to sleep the same way tonight. Hyun-woo is visibly startled. Seeing his reaction, Ha-yeon immediately realizes he's scared and casually brushes it off, saying she was only joking. Elsewhere, the caretaker whose dog Yoon Song had bought for 100 million won returns the money and comes back for the dog. He admits that they were tempted by greed for a moment but couldn't live without the animal, it was family. Yoon Song calmly takes the check back, then coldly says that he will still kill the dog and prepares to shoot it. At that moment, Hyun-woo arrives and returns the dog to its rightful owner. Yoon Song smiles strangely and says that the only reason he couldn't kill the dog was because it belonged to someone. If it had been a stray, he asks, would killing it have been wrong? That question triggers a disturbing memory. A flashback shows a 13-year-old boy who once killed a German shepherd. When questioned by the police, he gave the exact same explanation. That boy had been at an orphanage where the same couple was present. Yoon Song's words echo that chilling memory. The next day at the office, Ha-yeon can't stop looking at Hyun-woo. She casually asks a colleague whether it's possible to suddenly start liking one's husband again after 3 years. Half joking, she adds that she knows someone who now finds her husband attractive and dynamic. Her colleague laughs and says such thoughts require a visit to the doctor. Later, Ha-yeon actually goes to the doctor. She admits that lately she's become overly emotional, she feels deep sympathy for others and wants to help everyone. The doctor explains that this often happens when someone realizes their life may be short. Ha-yeon immediately denies it, insisting that she won't die and that a miracle will save her. Meanwhile, the butler secretly confesses to Yoon Song that he was the one who broke the fence that allowed the wild boar through. His intention had been to kill Ha-yeon, but Hyun-woo intervened at the last moment. Who the butler is truly working for, and Yoon Song's real motives, remain unclear. On the other hand, Hyun-woo tells his friend that ever since he saved Ha-yeon, her family, especially her father, has completely changed their attitude toward him. At the same time, Hyun-woo's siblings arrive in the city with a plan to stop the divorce. They visit Ha-yeon at her office, where she welcomes them politely and offers coffee. Just as they are about to bring up the divorce, Ha-yeon is called away for a meeting. Hyun-woo's sister decides to send her thoughts later in a message. At the meeting, Ha-yeon finds only Yoon Song present. The president has left due to a family emergency. Yoon Song discusses business matters, then subtly shifts the conversation to Hyun-woo, asking whether Ha-yeon truly believes her husband loves her. She answers confidently, pointing out that Hyun-woo risked his life to save her. Yoon Song admits he saw it, but claims Hyun-woo hesitated before stepping in. Ha-yeon immediately counters that hesitation is what separates Yoon Song from Hyun-woo. One watched. The other acted. Still, Yoon Song continues trying to plant doubt. Later that night, Ha-yeon drinks heavily. Hyun-woo is informed that his siblings visited her and that she is currently with Yoon Song. Panicked, he calls his sister, only to learn that she already sent Ha-yeon a message suggesting they slow down the divorce. When Hyun-woo tries calling Ha-yeon, her phone is switched off. Unbeknownst to him, Yoon Song drops Ha-yeon home after she passes out from drinking. At home, Ha-yeon admits that she never used to drink, but now she wants to do everything she once avoided, and destroy anyone who betrays her. She tells Hyun-woo that she knows he won't betray her. As she checks her phone, Hyun-woo suddenly grabs her hand, causing the phone to fall. She responds by holding his hand and kissing him. After a long moment, Hyun-woo picks up her phone and walks inside, with Ha-yeon watching him closely. She wonders why he's following her. As she heads toward her room and notices him still behind her, a slow smile forms on her face. She believes the kiss has shaken his control. She closes the door and goes to shower. Hearing the sound of running water, Hyun-woo enters the room and turns on Ha-yeon's phone, which is charging nearby. The screen asks for a password. He tries important dates. Anniversaries, birthdays, but none work. Then he enters another date. 10:30. A memory flashes, Ha-yeon discovering she was pregnant, both of them overwhelmed with joy, believing their future had just begun. The doctor had once told them that their baby's expected due date would be October 30th. From that day on, Hae-in set October 30th as her phone password. Back then, the two of them were genuinely happy. They decorated a small room together, imagining their future as parents. It was proof that even after marriage, there had truly been love and warmth between them. But something went wrong after that. Hae-in miscarried. What exactly happened would only be revealed later. Back in the present, Hyun-woo unlocks her phone using that date. Without hesitation, he deletes the message he was afraid she might see. Just as he is about to leave, Hae-in steps out of the bathroom and asks why he is there. Hyun-woo says he only came to talk. Hae-in smiles. She assumes he wants to spend time with her and agrees. But instead, Hyun-woo tells her that she must be tired and should rest, then quietly leaves the room. Outside, he exhales deeply. Inside, Hae-in continues smiling, unaware of what just happened. The next morning, when Hyun-woo greets her, Hae-in suddenly steps closer. Hyun-woo freezes. Thinking she's about to kiss him, he closes his eyes and braces himself. Instead, she simply brushes something off his clothes and gently tells him to take better care of himself. He's not a child anymore. Hyun-woo blushes. From that moment on, something changes. He keeps staring at Hae-in, unable to understand why she suddenly looks so beautiful to him. Even at the office, he finds himself watching her constantly. When she smiles at a design she likes, he smiles too, without even realizing it. Later, Hyun-woo tells his friend that he bought Hae-in a pair of shoes. In a flashback, we see him handing them to her. Hae-in questions why she should wear discounted shoes when she owns so many limited editions. Hyun-woo explains that those shoes aren't comfortable. If she wears these, he won't have to worry about her falling in high heels. Quietly, she accepts them. At her next meeting, she's wearing the shoes he gave her. Hyun-woo is incredibly happy. But that happiness doesn't last long. One of Hyun-woo's juniors casually mentions that Yoon-sung has been spending a lot of time with Ms. Hae-in. At that very moment, Hyun-woo sees Yoon-sung touching her hair. The junior remarks that Yoon-sung seems very familiar with her. Hyun-woo responds calmly that they are college friends, but he knows one thing for certain. Hae-in hates it when anyone touches her hair. Then the junior adds something that hits him hard. She's smiling. Jealousy starts burning inside Hyun-woo. Later, Yoon-sung accompanies Hae-in to meet the company president and notices her shoes. Hae-in proudly says that her husband bought them because he cares deeply about her comfort. She openly praises Hyun-woo. Yoon-sung doesn't like hearing that at all. Thanks to Yoon-sung, Hae-in's deal gets finalized. She tells him she owes him and will repay the favor someday. Soon after, Hae-in shows Hyun-woo some research papers from a medical center. They state that her chances of having a baby are 51%. She is genuinely happy. Hyun-woo, however, is horrified. In his mind, that means another 50 years of the same painful marriage he's endured for 3. A terrifying image flashes before him handing Hae-in divorce papers, only for her to shoot him. The thought alone shakes him. Meanwhile, Yoon-sung starts visiting Hae-in even on weekends. Hyun-woo can't hide his irritation anymore. In the kitchen, he finally confronts her, asking why she gets angry when he touches her hair, but stayed silent when Yoon-sung did. Hae-in doesn't answer. She simply walks away. But inside, she is thrilled. For the first time, she realizes that Hyun-woo is jealous. Later, Hae-in and Yoon-sung discuss work in a room. Hyun-woo desperately looks for an excuse to enter. Suddenly, he pretends he heard Hae-in calling him. She says she didn't. Embarrassed, he awkwardly says they should continue working, he'll just sit there. Then Hae-in's brother arrives. That night, Hyun-woo tells his friend the truth, he hates Yoon-sung. Every time Yoon-sung gets close to Hae-in, he feels uncontrollable anger. Elsewhere, Butler Grace poisons Hae-in's mother against her, falsely claiming that because of Hae-in, Yoon-sung refuses to partner with her son. She even lies about a fortune teller saying Hae-in is destined to ruin her siblings' lives. Unaware of her illness, Hae-in's mother storms in to scold her. The stress makes Hae-in dizzy. She nearly collapses, but Hyun-woo arrives just in time and catches her. He firmly asks her mother to leave, saying Hae-in isn't well. Hyun-woo urges Hae-in to tell her family the truth about her health. She refuses. Her family has already lost one child, she can't bear to shock them again. Hearing this breaks Hyun-woo's heart. Later, at a mall, Hae-in steps in when a man is about to hit a female employee. She grabs his hand, scolds him, and hands him over to the police. People around her praise her bravery. At the same time, Hyun-woo's father, Mr. Beck, the town chief, faces fierce election competition. His rival bribes voters with free alcohol. During Mr. Beck's speech, people mock him and question why his powerful daughter-in-law hasn't shown up. He has no answer. Then, suddenly, several luxury cars arrive. Hae-in steps out. Everyone is stunned. She apologizes to her father-in-law for missing his birthday and says she came today to celebrate properly. She treats the entire town and distributes gifts to everyone. In that moment, all doubts disappear. The convertible drew everyone's attention as it entered the village. With Hae-in's support, Mr. Beck was re-elected as the town chief, and to celebrate, Hae-in hosted a grand feast for the entire village. Hyun-woo's mother called him in disbelief. Hae-in had come all the way just to support his father. Hearing this, Hyun-woo immediately headed back to his hometown. While everyone was busy celebrating, Hae-in wandered into Hyun-woo's old room. It was simple, untouched by luxury. As she looked around, she found an old MP3 player. Curious, she put on the earphones and pressed play. Just then, a small child approached her and proudly said that Hyun-woo was his uncle. Smiling, Hae-in asked her driver to take the child around the village. But as she bent down, the MP3 player slipped from her hand. And suddenly, everything changed. When Hae-in picked it up, she found herself in an unfamiliar place. She had no idea how she got there. Her shoes were soaked in mud, her feet injured, and panic slowly crept in. She was completely disoriented. At the same time, Hyun-woo arrived in the village and immediately began looking for Hae-in. She was nowhere to be found. Then he noticed the MP3 player lying on the ground. Fear hit him instantly. As evening approached, he searched desperately. Until he finally found her. Relief quickly turned into anger. Hyun-woo shouted at her, asking why she came there, what she was doing, and whether she had any idea how worried he was. At first, Hae-in tried to act strong. But then her voice broke. She admitted that she didn't remember how she got there at all. And she started crying. Hyun-woo pulled her into his arms, crying with her. At that moment, the past surfaced. The year was 2006. They were students at the same school. People whispered that Hae-in's family was planning to send her to a mental hospital. But Hae-in ignored them all, escaping into music through the same pink MP3 player. One day, she injured her knee. Hyun-woo quietly stepped forward and bandaged it for her. She cried but refused to admit it. After she walked away, Hyun-woo noticed the MP3 player lying on the ground and picked it up. Back in the present, Hyun-woo carried Hae-in home on a bicycle. He asked her why she had come. She answered honestly. Because his father was losing the election, and she couldn't allow that to happen. Hyun-woo smiled. And seeing that smile made Hae-in's heart feel warm. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo's entire family was out in the rain, searching for Hae-in. Watching this, she was shocked. She had never realized how deeply they cared for her. Elsewhere, Hae-in's brother showed their mother photos and videos of Hae-in in the village, already going viral online. Her mother's expression darkened. She didn't like this at all. Later, Hyun-woo gently dried Hae-in's hair. When he noticed the wound on her foot, he carefully bandaged it. That's when Hae-in quietly said that the lifeline on her palm was short, and that it probably meant she really was going to die. Hyun-woo's voice trembled as he told her that nothing would happen to her. She asked if he would go with her to the treatment center that had contacted her. He said yes without hesitation. He leaned closer. They almost kissed. But suddenly, Hyun-woo pulled away. He stepped outside and began drinking alone, confused and overwhelmed. He didn't understand why he was feeling this way, he thought he had started hating her. But the truth was clear. He still loved her deeply. Inside, Hae-in wondered why Hyun-woo seemed so afraid of her. She went out to look for him, only to overhear him telling his brother that he left the room because he was afraid of what might happen if he stayed. Hearing this, Hae-in walked away angrily. Hyun-woo cried quietly to himself, unable to understand why he couldn't distance himself from her. That night, Hae-in didn't sleep at all. The next morning, when Hyun-woo entered the room and casually asked if she woke up early, she snapped. She tells him she didn't sleep at all that night. Hyun-woo freezes, genuinely shocked. Did she really stay awake the entire night? They leave for home together, but the silence between them is heavy. Neither of them looks at the other, not even once. As soon as they arrive, rain begins to pour. Hyun-woo instinctively holds the umbrella over Hae-in's head, letting himself get soaked. She immediately tells him not to misunderstand, she didn't stay awake waiting for him. He replies calmly that he knows. That answer only angers her more. She insists she couldn't sleep because she missed her bed, and because the dogs kept barking. Hyun-woo says he knows, again. Then, without meaning to, he asks if she has ever waited for him before. The question hits her like a slap. Before she can respond, Yoon-song appears. He steps under Hae-in's umbrella, places a hand on her shoulder, and walks her away. Hyun-woo watches, furious. Inside the house, he confronts Yoon-song, demanding to know why he's there. Yoon-song calmly explains that Hae-in's mother gave him the guest house so they could finish their project faster. He then asks Hyun-woo directly if he has a problem with that. Hyun-woo snaps back, if he did, would Yoon-song leave? The answer is no. Later, it's revealed that Yoon-song and butler Grace are secretly plotting together. Their goal is clear, get Hyun-woo out of the house. As long as he's around, he keeps saving Hae-in and her family before any real damage can be done. Grace also tells Yoon-song that despite being married, Hyun-woo and Hae-in have lived in separate rooms for the past 2 years. At the same time, Yoon-song subtly begins turning Hae-in against Hyun-woo. He tells her that if her husband truly cared, he would be jealous, but instead, he looks completely unaffected. That thought unsettles her. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo is burning inside. He can't understand why his mother-in-law allowed Yoon-song to stay in the house at all. That night, everyone gathers in the shared underground dining area that connects all the houses. Hae-in refuses to eat. Yoon-song sits comfortably with the family, acting as if he belongs there. Elsewhere, Hae-in goes in for her medical checkup. And this time, the truth is devastating. The doctor tells her that the lab claiming they could treat her was never offering a cure. They were only planning to experiment on her. The doctor makes it clear. Her chances of recovery are extremely low. No one has ever been cured this way. Hae-in listens quietly. Then, without hesitation, she says she will get better, and walks out. At the same time, the caretaker who owns the dog contacts Hyun-woo. He explains that a gas truck had been parked near the area. He managed to retrieve its dashcam, but because the memory was full, the footage didn't save properly. Hyun-woo immediately takes the memory card and sends it to a recovery shop, hoping there's still a chance to retrieve what was recorded. Back at the house, chaos erupts in the kitchen. Byung-ja keeps harassing the chef, Seo-lee, whom Grace had hired. Finally, Seo-lee snaps. She throws everyone out of the kitchen, hurls a spoon straight at the camera, destroying it, and then physically attacks Byung-ja. Furious, Byung-ja runs to complain to her father. But to her shock, he refuses to believe her. Even when Seo-lee openly admits that she hit her, her father still dismisses it. He has already begun trusting Seo-lee blindly. At that moment, it becomes clear. Seo-lee is not here with good intentions. She has her own hidden motive, and she is far from a well-wisher of this family. Meanwhile, at the office, Hyun-sung calls Hae-in for a meeting. As soon as Hae-in steps out of her office, everything suddenly goes blank. The world around her turns white. It feels as if snow is falling everywhere. Disoriented, she starts moving forward. The world snaps back into focus. Standing in front of her is Yoon-sung, asking if she's okay. Hae-in steadies herself and calmly says she's fine. At that moment, Hyun-woo arrives. One look at her face is enough for him to realize something is wrong. But before he can ask anything, Hae-in shuts him down. There's no need to worry, and walks away. Elsewhere, Yoon-sung quietly approaches the butler. He asks for Hae-in's medical records. Soon after, Hae-in goes in for her treatment. The doctor delivers troubling news. Her white blood cell count is dangerously low, and treatment must be postponed. Hae-in refuses to accept that. She says she doesn't have time to wait, and leaves. The doctor follows her, trying to explain. But Byung-ja overhears everything. Left with no choice, Hae-in tells her the truth about her illness. Instead of panic, Byung-ja offers strength. She encourages Hae-in not to be afraid. Hae-in only has one fear. That her secret will be revealed. Byung-ja promises she won't tell anyone. Then, a memory surfaces. Years ago, Hae-in's grandfather was giving a speech at an orphanage. 2 children listened with complete focus. One of them was Yoon-sung. Back in the present, Hae-in makes a bold decision. She leaves for Germany alone, seeking treatment. When her aunt finds out, she explodes with anger. Directing it all at Hyun-woo. Why didn't he go with her? Hyun-woo is stunned. He had no idea she left. He calls Hae-in, but her phone is already off. She's boarded the flight. Restless and shaken, Hyun-woo watches an old interview of Hae-in. In it, she once said she wanted to take a long break from life. To travel the world with her husband, just the two of them, talking endlessly. That's when it hits him. Without telling anyone, Hyun-woo leaves for Germany. At the medical center, the doctors refuse to treat Hae-in immediately. Her white cell count is still too low. Crushed, she walks away. She goes to a place she once visited with Hyun-woo. Now sitting there alone, her feet begin to hurt from her sandals. Then she hears a familiar voice. She tells herself it must be her imagination. But when she looks up, Hyun-woo is standing there. He scolds her gently, asking how many times he's told her not to wear sandals. From his bag, he pulls out shoes and carefully puts them on her feet. Hae-in is stunned. How did he know she'd be here? Hyun-woo doesn't explain. He just tells her it's time to go home, and pulls her into a tight embrace. The two kiss. Another memory flashes. On their way back from the village long ago, Hyun-woo had secretly used a pen to extend the lifeline on Hae-in's palm. She had been asleep. She never knew. Back in the present, the shop finally recovers the dashcam footage. The truth comes out. It was Hae-in's sister-in-law who broke the fencing. And she was working with Yoon-sung. That night, they disable the CCTV cameras. And sneak into Hyun-woo and Hae-in's house. Searching for evidence that could tear the couple apart. Inside Hyun-woo's room, Yoon-sung finds a locked compartment. He begins trying to figure out the password. Meanwhile, Butler Grace and Hae-in's assistant are also secretly connected to these people. They try to track Hae-in's whereabouts through her secretary, but the secretary reveals nothing. Why so many people are desperately circling Hae-in will be revealed later. For now, far away from all the schemes, Hyun-woo and Hae-in finally share a rare moment of peace. They look genuinely happy. Suddenly, Hae-in notices a small child running past. She tries to look closer, but she can't see the child's face clearly. The image disappears as quickly as it appeared. Back inside, Hae-in quietly watches Hyun-woo as he prepares noodles for her. He moves carefully, almost nervously. When he's done, he tells her to wait 3 minutes before eating so the noodles can cool down. Hae-in smiles faintly and says that before she dies, she wanted to eat noodles at least once, because she had never eaten them before. Then, without warning, her tone changes. She calmly tells Hyun-woo that when she dies, she doesn't want a memorial service. She wants him to remember her while drinking wine instead. She doesn't want him to remember her painfully for his entire life, but she also doesn't want to be forgotten too easily. She even adds that if there are cameras around, he should cry properly. Hyun-woo looks at her and asks if she really wants him to cry. She answers honestly. Yes, and no. What she truly wants is to stay in his memories. Unable to bear it anymore, Hyun-woo cuts her off. That's enough. 3 minutes pass. Hyun-woo quietly tells her to eat the noodles. But Hae-in stops him. She says there's just one last thing she needs to say. Before their marriage, her mother had asked her to write a will. At that time, all Hae-in wanted was to marry Hyun-woo, nothing else mattered. According to that will, if she dies, Hyun-woo won't receive anything. Hyun-woo listens silently. Then he tells her that if she wants to change the will, she can. But not now. She should only do it after she's completely well. Those words make Hae-in genuinely happy. At the same time, elsewhere in the house, Yoon-sung notices a business card on Hyun-woo's table, the same shop where the dashcam footage was recovered. Meanwhile, Hae-in's mother is giving her son a powerful herbal medicine. She confidently claims that eating it can cure all diseases. Baekhyang suggests giving the herb to Hae-in instead, but her mother immediately refuses. Hae-in hasn't even caught a cold in the past 3 years, she says. She doesn't need it. Baekhyang wants to speak up, but she can't bring herself to reveal Hae-in's condition. Angrily, she leaves. Later, as Hae-in walks toward her room, Hyun-woo follows her and asks if he can come in. Hae-in pauses and asks if he means just for now. Or forever. Hyun-woo answers without hesitation. Forever. He enters the room with her. Inside, Hae-in tells him about a friend of hers. That woman had an accident, and her husband believed she was dead. He rushed to the hospital holding her will, fighting everyone, shouting that she couldn't die without signing it. Hae-in says she truly despises deceitful people. But she's grateful. Because Hyun-woo is different. Ever since he found out about her illness, she's noticed the concern on his face. He panicked even when she coughed. He stayed up all night researching her condition. Listening to this, Hyun-woo feels a deep ache in his chest. Because he knows the truth. At the beginning, he was only pretending. Hoping she would change her will. Hae-in looks at him warmly and says there's only one husband like him in the world. And she feels incredibly lucky to have him. After this, we see Hyun-woo standing at the same health center, the very place where doctors had previously refused to treat Hae-in. This time, his tone is different. He directly threatens legal action, stating that the hospital accepted funding from Hae-in only because they had agreed to treat her. If they backed out now, he would make sure the truth came out. Faced with this pressure, the doctor finally agrees, to at least try treating Hae-in. Soon after, Hae-in receives an email from the health center confirming the treatment attempt. She reads it again and again, unable to hide her happiness. And seeing her smile like that. Hyun-woo feels happy too, perhaps more than he expected. At the same time, elsewhere, Yoon-sung arrives at the repair shop. Without hesitation, he takes the dashcam footage from the shopkeeper. Back at home, the butler continues poisoning Hae-in's mother's mind, whispering that Hyun-woo is deliberately sabotaging Soo-chul's project, not because it's flawed, but because he doesn't want Soo-chul to succeed. That's when it becomes clear. The butler, Dae, and Yoon-sung all share the same goal. They have been working together for many years. In a flashback, we finally understand how deep this runs. At the orphanage, the little girl who once listened to that speech alongside Yoon-sung was none other than Soo-chul's wife, Dae. From childhood itself, both of them had been targeting Queen's group. Meanwhile, in the present, Hyun-woo's father becomes increasingly famous throughout the village. Every place Hae-in visits suddenly turns into a tourist spot. Ironically, even their competitors benefit. Sales skyrocket simply because Hae-in once ate their apples, while Mr. Beck had forgotten to offer her pears. Life moves strangely like that. Elsewhere, a young woman greets Hyun-woo cheerfully. He smiles back. Seeing this, Hae-in feels a sudden sting of jealousy. She teases that Hyun-woo was always popular with girls, even rumored to have liked the principal's daughter. Hyun-woo immediately denies it. He insists he never did anything special for her and adds firmly, she wasn't his first love. Hae-in replies calmly that love doesn't always need grand gestures. Sometimes, simply passing by the same person again and again, just to see them, that itself is love. Hyun-woo pauses, then asks softly if she had ever loved someone. Hae-in admits that every girl falls in love at least once. When he asks who it was, she only smiles. She enjoys watching his jealousy too much to answer. Meanwhile, back at Hae-in's house, no one is home. Under the excuse of fixing the cameras, the butler lets people inside, and deliberately asks Hyun-woo to come in. While searching, she discovers something hidden away. The divorce papers. Seeing them, everything begins to change. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo and Hae-in search for the lock they had placed during their honeymoon. They look everywhere, but it's gone. Just then, they notice a man selling lucky leaves. Hae-in stops, hesitates, and then buys one. She needs luck now more than ever. Soon after, a nurse comes to take Hae-in for her surgery. But at that moment, Hae-in suddenly sees a small child running. Without thinking, she runs after him, straight out of the hospital. The nurse panics and immediately informs Hyun-woo. When Hyun-woo realizes Hae-in has disappeared, he rushes outside. He searches everywhere. Minutes pass. Then an hour. There is no sign of her. Just as his fear reaches its peak, Hae-in suddenly appears in front of him. Hyun-woo doesn't say a word. He simply pulls her into his arms and holds her tightly. Only then do we learn the truth. The child Hae-in keeps seeing is her older brother, the one who died in childhood. A flashback reveals what really happened. Years ago, Hae-in's entire family went on a trip to an island. While playing near a boat, Hae-in fell into the water. Her brother jumped in to save her. He succeeded. But he never came back out. Since that day, both Hae-in and her mother believed the same thing. That her brother died because of her. Hyun-woo gently tells her the truth. It wasn't her fault. It was an accident. But Hae-in shakes her head. She says she can't forget that day. She feels like she's been living with her brother's life instead of her own. Hyun-woo holds her and quietly comforts her. Elsewhere, Yoon-sung pays a huge amount of money to the shopkeeper. He takes the memory card, and permanently shuts down the shop. At the same time, Yoon-sung, the butler, and Dae finalize their plan. They carefully frame Hyun-woo. Evidence begins appearing everywhere. All pointing toward him. When Hae-in's grandfather orders the locker in Hyun-woo's room to be opened, what's found inside seals his fate. The divorce papers. Signed. Even though Hyun-woo is innocent, he is now trapped from every side. And here begins the most heartbreaking part of this story. Hyun-woo runs toward Hae-in. He has bought all the lucky leaves he could find. He even found the missing lock and took a photo to show her. When they finally stand face to face, Hyun-woo's phone rings. It's his mother. Hae-in doesn't answer. Instead, a message arrives. A photo. The divorce papers. Hyun-woo hands her the bouquet of lucky leaves. Hae-in throws it away. She asks him what's going on. Then she shows him the photo and says, "Tell me you didn't do this. Tell me this isn't your signature." Hyun-woo looks at her. And for the first time, he doesn't lie. He tells her the truth. Hae-in collapses. Her mind rushes back to the day she told him about her illness. That day, Hyun-woo had papers in his hand. Divorce papers. Which means he was waiting for her to die. All the care. All the concern. All the love. Just an act. Then another memory hits her. The first love she once spoke about was Hyun-woo himself. She used to drive her car beside his bus, just to see his face. Now, Hyun-woo desperately tries to explain everything. But it's already too late. Hyun-woo notices that Hae-in isn't even wearing her shoes. He picks them up and quietly follows her. At this point, Hae-in is completely lost in her memories. Every moment she spent with Hyun-woo keeps replaying in her head, one after another, tearing her apart from the inside. As soon as she steps out of the elevator, she suddenly finds herself standing in the middle of the road. Once again, she doesn't remember how she got there. A truck rushes toward her. At the last second, Hyun-woo pulls her back, saving her life. Instead of gratitude, Hae-in looks at him with empty eyes and tells him that next time, if he sees her dying, he shouldn't save her. She tells him to stop pretending, stop acting. At the hospital, the doctor informs Hyun-woo that there is still no improvement in Hae-in's white blood cell count. They need more time. He adds that a miracle is possible, but only if Hae-in still has the will to live. Before Hyun-woo can process this, a nurse rushes in and tells them that Hae-in has taken discharge. Hyun-woo tries to stop her. But Hae-in turns cold. She accuses him of being the one who is happiest about her death. She asks why he is still pretending to care. At that moment, Hyun-woo finally breaks. He tells her that now that everything has been exposed, he wants to thank her for letting him go so easily. He says he could have lived a rich life with her, but he hates her. Living with her felt like hell. Those words cut deeper than anything before. Hae-in's heartbreak instantly turns into rage. She challenges him, asking if he can handle her anger. Hyun-woo shouts back, telling her to do whatever she wants. And from that moment on, Hae-in is no longer just heartbroken. She wants revenge. Was everything Hyun-woo did a lie? Was this really his true face? The answers will come later. Meanwhile, Hae-in's grandfather approves a major deal involving Soo-cheol and Yoon-sung. At a press conference, Yoon-sung signs the resort contract. When Hyun-woo sees the news, he is shocked. He had personally warned Grandpa not to go forward with this deal. That's when Yoon-sung's true plan becomes clear. He never wanted the partnership itself. His goal was to become the largest shareholder of Queen's Group, expose loopholes in the contract, scare away investors, and destroy the company's reputation, causing the stock to crash. Inside the family, suspicion slowly shifts toward Hyun-woo. Grandpa suggests that Hyun-woo might be behind the financial fraud. Hae-in's father agrees to investigate him personally. Hae-in, who has been sitting quietly, finally stands up. She says she will investigate Hyun-woo herself, and if he has truly betrayed her, she will never forgive him. She leaves with the divorce papers in her hand. What no one knows is the truth. Hyun-woo tells his friend that he deliberately said those cruel things to Hae-in. He wanted to hurt her badly enough that she would fight back, seek revenge, and regain her will to live. Right now, motivation is the only thing keeping her alive. Hyun-woo then meets Grandpa privately and tries, indirectly, to warn him about Yoon-sung. But without proof, Grandpa doesn't believe a word. What Hyun-woo doesn't know is that the painting Yoon-sung gifted Grandpa contains a hidden camera. Yoon-sung listens to the entire conversation. Later, Yoon-sung calls his accomplice and orders him to finish the remaining work quickly. He knows Hyun-woo is getting close. Elsewhere, Aunt Byung-ja finally learns the truth about Seo-ri. A flashback reveals a detective telling her that Seo-ri's name, identity, everything, is fake. But Byung-ja can't act yet. For 20 years, Seo-ri has earned everyone's trust, especially Grandpa's. If Byung-ja makes a move now, everyone will turn against her. The only option left is to secretly investigate Seo-ri's son. Later, Hae-in confronts Hyun-woo again. She shows him the divorce papers she has signed, but tells him she won't give them to him yet. She mentions Byung-ja as an example, saying she plans to do something even worse before the divorce is finalized. Hyun-woo accepts it. As she turns to leave, he stops her one last time and warns her to stay away from Yoon-sung. He explains that Yoon-sung's sudden reappearance, his excessive help, and his visit to the dashcam recovery shop all point to something suspicious. The shop owner disappeared right after Yoon-sung visited. Hae-in understands his concern, but refuses to acknowledge it in front of him. The next morning, Hae-in asks for meat at breakfast. She dresses in her most expensive, limited edition clothes, shoes, and jewelry before heading to the office. The atmosphere immediately changes. A new employee comments on how beautiful she looks. Her secretary quietly explains that when Hae-in dresses like this, it means someone is about to pay the price. And with that, the battle between Hae-in and Hyun-woo truly begins. Hae-in begins her counterattack at work. She rejects every single file Hyun-woo's team submits and orders all reports to be redone from scratch. Overnight, the workload doubles. The staff quickly grows exhausted by their Cold War. Seeing no end to it, Hyun-woo's assistant and Hae-in's assistant secretly agree on one thing. They must keep these two apart at the office at all costs. But fate has other plans. During lunch hour, both teams head toward the elevator at the same time. They run straight into each other. Hae-in immediately takes a jab, mocking how relaxed Hyun-woo's team looks as they head out for lunch. Hyun-woo calmly responds that he's treating them before they drown in the massive workload ahead. Hae-in isn't done. She demands a detailed analysis of every single case Hyun-woo has lost so far. When Hyun-woo asks whether she'll even have time to review it all, she coldly replies that when it comes to work, she operates like an AI, no limits, no fatigue. Watching this, Yoon-sung begins to sense something. He makes a call to have her background checked with a medical center. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo continues following his own trail. He takes a photo of the mysterious director's hand, the only visible detail being a rare diamond watch, and shows it to a luxury watch boutique. The shopkeeper immediately recognizes it. Only 10 watches like this were ever made. Hyun-woo asks for the list of owners. After some hesitation, the shopkeeper agrees to help. Elsewhere, Soo-cheol is learning how to ride a bicycle. He falls hard. His mother panics, but Soo-cheol insists on standing up on his own. He says he wants to become a good father, someone who can one day teach his own child how to ride a bike. Watching him, Dae smiles softly. Soon after, she receives a phone call. She will be leaving the country in 2 weeks. At the same time, the private detective hired by Hae-in's father submits his report. He says they investigated everything, even hacked Hyun-woo's phone. But there was nothing suspicious. Just hundreds of photos of Hae-in. The detective explains that men only keep that many photos of one person for one reason. Because they truly love them. Haeun's father hands the photos to her and tells her the truth. Haeun listens quietly. She says that once the audit results come out tomorrow, everything will finally be clear. The next day, the results arrive. Hyun-woo is completely cleared. No evidence. No wrongdoing. Not a single charge sticks. With the truth finally revealed, Haeun goes to meet Yoon-sung. She asks him directly. He has done so much for her, yet never once asked for anything in return. That's when Yoon-sung finally reveals his intention. He doesn't want money. He doesn't want power. He wants Hyun-woo gone. He wants Haeun to divorce him. Because he wants to take Hyun-woo's place. Hearing Yoon-sung's words, Haeun immediately shuts him down. She makes it clear that he has crossed a line, and without looking back, she walks away. But she doesn't get far. A sharp pain suddenly explodes in her head. Her vision blurs. Instinctively, she reaches into her bag for her medicine. Only to realize it's gone. Cut to the truth. Yoon-sung had already taken the medicine from her purse. And then, the real revelation hits. Yoon-sung is Seol-a's son. The two of them didn't enter this family by coincidence. They came with a purpose. For 30 long years, Seol-ai had slowly worked her way into Haeun's grandfather's trust, gaining control over his connections, his movements, his entire chain of influence. Everything they had done, every step they had taken, was part of a single plan. To destroy Haeun's family from the inside. In the next moment, Seol-hee gathers every document she has and goes straight to Haeun's grandfather. Standing before him without hesitation, she makes a shocking declaration. She tells him she is prepared to take the blame for the fraud committed within the company. If going to jail in his place is what it takes to protect his family from public disgrace, she is willing to do it. Her resolve leaves a deep impression on him, and instead of doubt, his trust in her only grows stronger. Elsewhere, rain falls steadily from the sky. Beneath the gray clouds, Hyun is quietly feeding a stray cat, completely absorbed in the moment. Hyun-woo arrives and asks what she is doing there. To his surprise, she speaks to him gently, warm, calm, and unfamiliar. She doesn't even seem to remember how she got there. She lifts an umbrella and smiles softly, reminding him that it's the same umbrella he once gave her before running away 4 years ago. Hyun-woo freezes, staring at her in disbelief. He can't understand why she is suddenly treating him with such kindness, as if none of their recent pain ever happened. Hyun then tells him she plans to go to Germany to recover. As she speaks, she begins recounting a tragic story once more, the accident involving her friend, and how that friend's husband came to the hospital carrying documents, asking her to sign them. Hearing her repeat the story so innocently, Hyun-woo struggles to hold himself together. Tears threaten to spill as realization hits him. He understands now. Hyun has forgotten everything that happened over the last 7 or 8 days, just as the doctor had warned them would eventually happen. Confused, Hyun looks at him and asks what happened. Unable to answer, Hyun-woo pulls her into his arms and apologizes. She responds simply, telling him that she loves him. At that moment, the tears he's been holding back finally fall. The story then drifts back to 4 years earlier. Hyun and Hyun-woo stand together, inside an aquarium, surrounded by glass walls and drifting shadows of swimming fish. Hyun-woo remarks on how strange it feels, how there's no one else around, just the two of them, much like that quiet restaurant before. Hyun agrees, saying she doesn't know why it's like this. Back then, Hyun-woo knew nothing about Hyun's family, her background, or the world she came from. All that existed in that moment was the stillness, the wonder, and the fragile beginning of something he never imagined he could lose. Back then, Hyun-woo knew nothing about Haeun's family status. What he didn't realize was that the quiet aquarium, empty except for the two of them, had not been a coincidence at all. It was Haeun who had booked the entire place, just so they could have that moment to themselves. Not long after, Hyun-woo officially proposed to her. The sudden sincerity of it left Hae-in stunned, but only for a moment. She smiled and accepted. The story then returns to the present. Hae-in gently consoles Hyun-woo, surprised by how emotional he has become. She asks why he is crying so much over her. Through his tears, Hyun-woo admits that he wishes the moment would never end, that she would always speak to him with the same warmth and softness. Then, carefully, he tells her not to be shocked. They have already returned from Germany. Hae-in asks whether she is cured. Hyun-woo tells her the truth. She is not ready yet. Slowly, he reveals everything he has been holding back. He explains that he had already signed the divorce papers and that she discovered them while they were in Germany. From that moment on, nothing between them was ever the same. Hae-in initially laughs it off, dismissing it as nonsense. She insists that if any of it were true, she would have broken his bones by now. Hyun-woo simply asks her to try to remember. And then, the memories begin flooding back. She remembers how Hyun-woo told her he hated her, not because he meant it, but because he wanted to provoke her. She remembers the pain, the anger, and the loneliness. Hae-in finally admits that she remembers everything. She tells him that he wasn't the only one who was suffering. She was hurting too. Then, quietly, she says that they should separate. The sadness between them becomes heavy and inescapable. The next day, Hyun-woo's friend arrives as his divorce attorney, while Hae-in appears with an extremely powerful lawyer. Hyun-woo's friend nervously warns him that the man is rumored to have ties to the Italian mafia, someone known for settling matters with a gun. Terrified, the two men hesitantly walk inside. There, the reason for the divorce is written plainly. Due to their busy schedules, they drifted apart. They will remain good friends. Hyun-woo remarks that it doesn't really matter what reason is written, because no one will ever know the real one. And just like that, the divorce is finalized. On her way home, Hae-in is lost in thought when another memory from 4 years ago surfaces. She remembers traveling on a train with Hyun-woo, when he showed her the most beautiful sunset in Seoul. The two of them stood there together in silence, sharing a moment that felt endless and perfect. Back in the present, Hae-in suddenly asks the driver to stop the car. She steps out and sits alone in a park, scrolling through pictures and videos of Hyun-woo on her phone. It becomes painfully clear that she divorced him not because she stopped loving him, but because she wanted him to be happy. She then decides to visit all the places Hyun-woo used to go. She begins by hitting baseballs. With every swing, she feels lighter, stronger, almost free. Then she goes to the same restaurant Hyun-woo used to visit twice a day. She sits at the very table where he once sat, unaware that Hyun-woo is seated right behind her. When she notices him, Hae-in quietly hides behind a pillar and places her order. As they drink, Hyun-woo's friend comments that it is good he escaped that family. Hyun-woo hesitates. Then he admits that he still wanted to stay with Hae-in. And that he still does. Hearing this, Hae-in becomes emotional. Both of them continue drinking, separated by distance, yet bound by the same pain. Soon after, Yoon-sung learns from Hyun-woo's secretary that the pills found in Hae-in's bag were for a brain tumor. The news shocks him. He silently looks at the locket in his hand. A flashback unfolds. When Hae-in first arrived at the orphanage, a dog nearly attacked her. Yoon-sung saved her, getting injured in the process. She tied her handkerchief around his wound, and in that moment, her locket was left behind with him, something he has kept ever since. Back in the present, Yoon-sung asks Hae-in whether Hyun-woo will continue working at Queen's Group. Hae-in tells him that it is Hyun-woo's decision. Then, firmly, she makes one thing clear. She did not divorce Hyun-woo so Yoon-sung could take advantage of the situation. She divorced him because her family relentlessly tortured Hyun-woo. She warns him not to cross the line. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo receives the names of the 10 people who purchased that rare watch. One of those names stands out. Seo Lee. At the same time, it becomes clear that Yoon Song was wearing the watch and had been secretly following Hae-in. Hyun-woo immediately overtakes Yoon Song's car and blocks him on the road. He demands to know why Yoon Song was following Hae-in. Yoon Song coldly asks what it has to do with him. Another flashback reveals that Hyun-woo had already discovered that his secretary was working for Yoon Song and had forced him to reveal everything. Back in the present, Hyun-woo warns Yoon Song to stay away from Hae-in. He tells him that if she gets hurt, he will make sure Yoon Song pays for it. Yoon Song responds with quiet confidence. Hyun-woo is free to protect her if he wishes. But in the end, Hae-in will choose him. Yoon Song speaks calmly, telling Hyun-woo that soon he will understand. As those words linger, Hyun-woo's eyes drift toward Yoon Song's wrist. The watch. In that instant, everything clicks. Suspicion solidifies into certainty, and Hyun-woo immediately knows where to begin. He starts investigating Seo-hee, her movements, her motives, and her hidden connection to Yoon Song. At the same time, Yoon Song moves forward with his plan. Quietly and methodically, he begins sabotaging Soo-hyun's project. Negative stories are planted in the media. Doubt spreads. Panic follows. Investors begin pulling their money one by one, exactly as Yoon Song intended. Then, just as the project nears collapse, he steps in as the savior, offering investment through a loan. The news brings sudden relief. Soo-hyun is overjoyed, and the family finally breathes easily, believing the crisis has passed. Grandpa prepares to sign the new contract. But just before the pen touches the paper, Hyun-woo arrives. He stops them and delivers a chilling warning. Accepting the deal is far more dangerous than it appears. If the project fails, every share held under Grandpa's name will be transferred directly to Yoon Song. The room falls silent. What once seemed like a rescue now reveals itself as a carefully designed trap. And the cost of a single signature could be everything they have left. But Grandpa's mind drifts back to something Seo-lie once told him. She had said that a great sage predicted signing a contract the next day would bring him immense benefit. Trusting those words more than the warning in front of him, Grandpa signs the papers. He then turns to Hyun-woo and calmly tells him that he gives everyone 3 chances. Hyun-woo, he says, has already wasted all 3. With that, he orders him to leave. Hyun-woo returns to his office, only to discover that his ID and access cards no longer work. Moments later, the legal team arrives. They confiscate his phone and laptop and instruct him to vacate immediately. As Hyun-woo stands there, stripped of his authority, Hae-in arrives. Without hesitation, she dismisses the legal team and drives them away. When the two of them are finally alone in the elevator, Hae-in asks why, now that the divorce is finalized, he is still tolerating all of this. Hyun-woo answers simply. He wants to stay. He is not ready to walk away yet. Around the same time, Byung-ja reveals the full truth about Seo-lie to Hyun-woo. She tells him that Seo-lie's real name is entirely different and that she has a son. The revelation leaves Hyun-woo stunned. Together, they visit the detective who once investigated Seo-lie for Byung-ja. There, they uncover the rest of the story. Seo-lie gave birth to a son while she was in jail. That child was later sent to an orphanage owned by Queen's Group. When they visit the orphanage to investigate further, they learn that it was destroyed in a fire years ago. The caretaker's wife recalls something unsettling. She tells Hyun-woo that a boy who once came there wanting to buy a dog looked exactly like a child from that orphanage. That same child, she says, was later adopted by an American couple. At that moment, Byung-ja remembers something crucial. Yoon Song had also mentioned that he was adopted. Suddenly, the pieces begin aligning. Every sign now points toward one terrifying conclusion. Yoon Song is the same boy from the orphanage. The same child who once killed a dog there. Meanwhile, Grandpa signs over his power of attorney to Soo-hyun. Legally, she now holds full authority over his health and business decisions. On Grandpa's birthday, Soo-hyun personally oversees all the preparations. Watching this unfold, Byung-ja's anger finally explodes. She notices her late mother's ring on Soo-hyun's hand and drags her straight to Grandpa. She demands to know how he could give Soo-hyun her mother's ring. She accuses him of being blinded by love and declares that Soo-hyun is a fraud whose name and identity are fake. Overcome with rage, Byung-ja physically attacks Soo-hyun. But Grandpa raises his hand, not at Soo-hyun, but at Byung-ja. He protects Soo-hyun. Coldly, he declares that Byung-ja should be sent to a mental asylum. The words completely shatter her. Broken and devastated, she leaves in tears. Later, Byung-ja secretly pulls strands of Soo-hyun's hair to collect a DNA sample. She also retrieves Yoon-sung's sample from his comb. Overwhelmed and crying, she tells Hyun-woo everything. He listens quietly and consoles her. During the birthday celebration, Dae-hee leaves for overseas. By the time Soo-cheol realizes what is happening, the plane has already departed. Helpless and heartbroken, he breaks down completely. At the same time, Grandpa is playing chess with Soo-hyun. Dae-yeom-ja repeatedly calls him. Annoyed, Grandpa finally answers. But it is Hyun-woo on the line. Hyun-woo urgently warns him to listen carefully if Soo-hyun is nearby. He reveals the truth. Yoon-sung is Soo-hyun's son, and he has been secretly buying shares from Queen's Group investors. If the contract is not cancelled immediately, Yoon-sung will soon gain control over Grandpa's shares as well. Grandpa says he will call back shortly. But before he can say anything, he suddenly collapses. Soo-hyun calmly approaches him. It becomes clear that the drug has begun working. She had deliberately administered it during their chess game, ensuring that Grandpa would absorb it through repeated contact. As Grandpa lies unconscious, Soo-hyun presses his thumb onto a document. In that moment, she legally establishes herself as his guardian. Grandpa is rushed to the hospital. Every staff member answers directly to Soo-hyun. His family is barred from seeing him. The public is told that he suffered a heart attack. With Grandpa incapacitated, the resort project is halted. All shares are transferred to Yoon-sung. He becomes the largest shareholder of the company. The media quickly uncovers everything. The news spreads everywhere. When Hyun-woo's family sees the reports, they are deeply worried. Just then, a car arrives. Hyun-woo steps out. His sister reacts bitterly, believing this outcome is deserved. But moments later, Hae-in steps out of the same car. Then, one by one, her entire family follows. It becomes clear. They all arrive together. The story then rewinds to reveal how it happened. Hae-in's family had been returning home when butler Grace instructed them to enter through the back door. Just before they complied, Grace revealed her true intentions. She declared that with Grandpa's power now transferred to Soo-hyun, everything belonged to her. Their bank accounts had already been frozen, and they were ordered to leave immediately. That was the moment Hyun-woo arrived. He parked his car directly in front of the reporters. Without hesitation, he told the family to get in. Later, Hae-in's father attempted to contact every lawyer he knew. None responded. Hyun-woo then brings the entire family to his home. There, Hae-in informs him that she will leave with her family the next morning. Hyun-woo refuses. He explains that this is the safest place for them right now. Hae-in reminds him that their divorce is finalized and that he no longer needs to worry about her. Hyun-woo quietly responds. Until everything is resolved, he will continue taking care of her. At Hyun-woo's house, Hae-in's family struggles even with something as simple as eating. The food is unfamiliar, and the atmosphere feels awkward. They are clearly not used to meals like this. Soo-hyun begins complaining, acting fussy and dramatic. Without warning, Hae-in slaps him, sharp, firm, and final. Instantly, he falls silent. Hyun-woo's family watches in complete shock. Hyun-woo breaks the tension by calmly remarking that Hae-in never treats him that way. Later, Hyun-woo's sister asks Hae-in directly whether the two of them are considering getting back together. Hae-in answers without hesitation. She makes it clear that they came only because of the emergency. There are no plans to reconcile, regardless of how things may appear. Elsewhere, Yoon-sung grows increasingly restless. No one knows where Hae-in has gone, and his desperation intensifies with every passing moment. Back at the house, Hae-in listens to songs on an old MP3 player while messaging Hyun-woo. She tells him that she is listening to music on the MP3 player. Hyun-woo casually explains that it is not his and that he simply found it somewhere. That answer makes Hae-in pause. She studies the device more closely and notices a small engraved letter. H. Memories begin resurfacing. She realizes that the MP3 player was always hers. She remembers her final days of high school. How Hyun-woo carefully placed a bandage on her hand. The realization fills her with quiet happiness. She begins to believe that Hyun-woo must have preserved the music player all these years because of his feelings for her. Smiling to herself, she playfully suggests that the girl who owned it must have been very beautiful. Embarrassed, Hyun-woo walks into her room. He explains that he does not even remember whether the MP3 belonged to a girl or a boy. He gently takes it from her, carefully puts it away again, and tells her to rest. Hae-in agrees. Afterward, Hyun-woo leaves the room. Later that evening, Hyun-woo's mother teaches Hae-in how to cook in the kitchen. To everyone's surprise, Hae-in genuinely enjoys the experience. She smiles in a way that feels lighter than it has in a long time. Meanwhile, Yoon-sung learns about Grandpa's secret fund from the team's director and begins searching for it. But no matter how deeply he investigates, no one seems to know where the money is. Hyun-woo then goes to meet Yoon-sung. Deliberately lowering himself, he treats him with exaggerated humility. He pleads not to be fired immediately, pretending that he has no connection left with Hae-in or her family. Yoon-sung asks about Hae-in's whereabouts. Hyun-woo claims that she dismissed him and that he has no idea where she went. Behind the scenes, however, Hyun-woo continues working towards something far more significant. He retrieves dashcam footage from a shopkeeper. From the recording, he uncovers the truth. Dae-hee was responsible for cutting the fencing. Armed with this knowledge, Hyun-woo begins planning his next move. Back at the house, Hae-in receives updates from her secretary regarding the office. As she processes the information, she suddenly faints. When she regains consciousness, Hyun-woo's entire family is gathered around her, visibly concerned. Everyone, except Hyun-woo's mother, who assumes Hae-in is pretending. The accusation leaves Hae-in quietly humiliated. Hyun-woo insists that she visit a doctor the following day. Instead, Hae-in shifts the conversation toward the office situation. Hyun-woo reassures her that he has filed a case against the broker, preventing him from leaving the country. He assures her that she does not need to worry. But Hae-in disagrees. She explains that after her death, her brother would not be capable of taking care of their parents. That fear is why she has been taking injections to increase her white blood cell count. Hearing this, Hyun-woo experiences a brief sense of relief. Until she adds one final thought. The sooner she recovers, the sooner they will separate, allowing him to live peacefully. The words leave both of them silently devastated. Meanwhile, Yoon-sung learns the truth about Hae-in's brain tumor. Desperate, he rushes to the doctor, seeking answers. But the doctor refuses to disclose anything. At the same hospital, Hae-in arrives for her own examination. Before she meets the doctor, Hyun-woo informs her that Yoon-sung already knows everything. He explains that Yoon-sung even visited the doctor personally. Afterward, Hyun-woo and Hae-in return home together. As the days pass, tension begins to rise between Yoon-sung and Seo-lee. Seo-lee seeks to eliminate Hae-in entirely. Yoon-sung, however, wants only Hae-in. Their objectives no longer align. Soon after, Hyun-woo begins receiving threatening messages from the broker. He senses that someone is following him. At the same time, Yoon-sung kidnaps Hae-in's grandfather. The moment that has been building toward is finally approaching. Hyun-woo notices the surveillance and deliberately drives toward a deserted area. Elsewhere, Hae-in waits for Hyun-woo. When he fails to return, she steps outside for a walk. Hae-in walks along the road, her phone pressed tightly to her ear as she calls Hyun-woo again and again. At the same time, Hyun-woo stands face to face with the broker. His phone begins to ring. Hae-in's name flashes on the screen. But he never gets the chance to answer. Further down the road, Hae-in notices a man standing in the distance. For a brief moment, relief flickers across her face. She thinks it is Hyun-woo. But as she looks closer, the relief vanishes. It is not him. Back in the deserted area, violence erupts without warning. The broker launches the attack. His men surround Hyun-woo from all sides. What follows unfolds like something from an action film. Hyun-woo fights alone. Punch after punch. Blow after blow. He absorbs brutal hits, bloodied and bruised. Yet refuses to fall. One by one, the men collapse. And then, another figure steps forward. The man Hae-in had seen. Now fully visible. It is Yoon-sung. The sight leaves her stunned. As Hae-in stares at him, the story briefly drifts into the past. She remembers asking Hyun-woo about the girl who once owned the MP3 player. He had claimed he did not remember. But the truth had been very different. Back then, Hyun-woo had searched everywhere for that girl. He had even spoken about her to his friend. When asked whether he would recognize her if he saw her again, Hyun-woo had answered with complete certainty. He would recognize her within minutes. Yet fate had been merciless. He had failed to recognize Hae-in. Back in the present, Soo-cheol visits Hyun-woo's brother's gym. There, he uncovers an unexpected truth. Hyun-woo had once been a boxing champion. After the brutal confrontation, Hyun-woo hands the unconscious man over to the police. But the officer on duty is secretly aligned with Yoon-sung. The moment Hyun-woo leaves, the officer makes the call. It changes nothing. Yoon-sung is already standing before Hae-in. His intentions are no longer concealed. He reveals his plan. He wants to become her legal guardian. Refusal is not an option. If she resists, he threatens to expose her medical condition to her family. If that fails, he warns that the people she loves may suffer. Finally, he unveils the last piece of his strategy. A press conference has already been arranged. One designed to force her return. To corner her in front of the entire world. With that, he walks away. Leaving Hae-in shaken. Trapped. Cornered from every direction. Later that night, Hyun-woo quietly returns home. Careful. Slow. Hiding the visible signs of the violence he endured. But Hae-in is still awake. She has been waiting. Hae-in takes one look at Hyun-woo and immediately senses that something is wrong. He tries to deny it at first, but the bruises tell a different story. Her composure breaks, and panic takes over. Without hesitation, she begins unbuttoning his shirt to check his injuries. The moment she notices the dark bruise spreading across his waist, fear becomes impossible to hide. Hyun-woo attempts to calm her, but she is too unsettled to slow down. Instead, she checks his mouth, making sure none of his teeth are broken. To ease the tension, Hyun-woo admits that there were many attackers, yet he handled them alone. Only then does another truth surface: Hyun-woo was once a boxing champion. As he applies medicine to his wounds, Hae-in remains close, unable to detach herself from his pain. Then, quietly, reality settles between them. They remember. They are divorced. The warmth that filled the room moments earlier fades, replaced once again by distance. The next morning, as Hyun-woo prepares to leave for work, Hae-in brings the ointment again. With careful attention, she applies it to his bruises, making sure no scars remain on his face. Afterward, she steps back and quietly says goodbye. Ironically, after their divorce, they begin behaving more like a real married couple than ever before. Hyun-woo sits inside his car and glances at the rearview mirror. Hae-in is still standing there, watching him leave. He turns off the engine. Using traffic as an excuse, he delays his departure. Instead, he takes her out for popsicles, just like they did 4 years ago. Standing there together, Hyun-woo reflects on the past. If they had healed each other's wounds back then, perhaps they might have been happy. But Hae-in's thoughts move in a different direction. Perhaps it would have been better if they had never met. Never married. Or if they had met, maybe they should have separated sooner. Hyun-woo, however, feels only one certainty. Regardless of everything, that happened, but he would never have forgotten her for the rest of his life. Meanwhile, Yoon-sung falsely accuses Hyun-woo of wrongdoing and removes him from his position. Then he stands before him and issues a cold challenge: let's see who defeats whom first. At the same time, Seo-ly, Grace, and Beom-ja are all desperately searching for Grandpa. Hyun-woo joins forces with Beom-ja to find him, and through her help, they finally locate him. Elsewhere, Hae-in's secretary meets her and reveals everything that happened to Hyun-woo at the company. Furious, Hae-in calls Yoon-sung and demands to know why he removed Hyun-woo from his post. Yoon-sung calmly replies that Hyun-woo has done something wrong. When she asks what exactly that wrongdoing is, he coldly says he hasn't decided yet. The casual cruelty of that statement fills her with anger. Later, Hyun-woo comes to her room and asks what Yoon-sung said. She tells him the truth. Yoon-sung wants her to return to that house. Hyun-woo's temper flares. What right does Yoon-sung have to stay near her? Hae-in tells him she can solve her own problems. She doesn't want him suffering because of her. Hyun-woo insists she doesn't need to worry about him. But now it is her turn to grow angry. From today onward, she says, he doesn't need to do anything for her. She can take care of herself. The words wound him deeply. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo's mother learns about Hae-in's brain tumor. The news devastates her. From that moment on, she begins caring for Hae-in even more tenderly. Soon, Hae-in returns to Queen's group. After preparing herself, she heads to the press conference alongside Yoon-sung. Before going on stage, she is made to memorize specific lines. Yoon-sung is visibly pleased. He believes she is finally standing beside him. Just then, Hyun-woo arrives and asks her why she came. She answers that she came to solve her problem, and then walks away with Yoon-sung. At the same time, Seo-ly and Grace have located Grandpa, who has regained consciousness. Before stepping onto the stage, Yoon-sung leans toward Hae-in and quietly tells her that at the end of her speech, he plans to announce their wedding. The conference begins. Yoon-sung addresses the media, claiming that rumors are spreading that he took over Queen's group through deceit. To silence those rumors, he announces that he is reinstating his dear friend Hae-in as CEO of the department store. The room fills with applause. Then Hae-in steps forward. She confirms that, as Yoon-sung mentioned, they are good friends. But then her tone changes. She reveals that Yoon-sung blackmailed her. He threatened that if she did not comply, he would falsely frame her husband, Hyun-woo, in a criminal case. The hall falls silent. Shock spreads across every face. Yoon-sung grows visibly nervous. And then Hae-in delivers the final blow. She says she cannot accept the CEO position. Because she is going to die. She doesn't have time. The confession freezes the entire room. At that moment, Hyun-woo understands everything. She did all of this to protect him. And as the weight of her sacrifice hits him, he breaks down in tears. The story then drifts back to a scene from 4 years ago. Hae-in had once teased Hyun-woo gently, telling him that when he was drunk, he looked incredibly cute. From that day on, she even warned him not to drink in front of other girls. Later that same night, Hyun-woo stood alone outside, plucking leaves from a plant like a nervous teenager. Leaf after leaf fell as he wrestled with his thoughts. Until finally, certainty settled in. With a heart full of reckless courage, he quietly confessed his feelings into the night. What he never realized was that Hae-in had heard everything from her room. Back in the present, as Hae-in walks slowly toward Hyun-woo, something strange begins to blur her vision. Flowers. Then snow. The world gradually turns white. And suddenly, she collapses directly into Hyun-woo's arms. Panic erupts instantly. Hyun-woo rushes her to the hospital, overwhelmed with fear. Inside her fading consciousness, Hae-in fights a terrifying thought. She cannot die yet. There is still something she has never fully expressed. Both families arrive at the hospital, shocked and devastated. At the same time, Grandpa regains consciousness. But he has lost his memory. He no longer recognizes anyone. Seeing Hae-in lying unconscious, her parents are completely shattered. Her mother, in particular, is consumed by regret, finally realizing how deeply she had hurt and ignored her daughter over the years. Then, Hae-in wakes up. Relief spreads through the room. Without hesitation, Hae-in finally expresses what she has carried in silence. The truth of her feelings. The certainty of her love. The weight of everything she nearly lost. Emotion overwhelms Hyun-woo. He holds her tightly, unable to hide his tears. One by one, family members enter to see her. But her mother cannot gather the strength to step inside. She remains outside, overcome with guilt and emotion. Hyun-woo gently comforts her. Moments later, Hae-in walks toward her mother herself. After years of distance and unspoken pain, mother and daughter embrace. Tears flow freely. For the first time, the walls between them finally collapse. Meanwhile, Grandpa returns home, still without his memory. Yoon-sung continues searching desperately for Grandpa's secret fund, hoping to stabilize Queen's Group's falling shares. The trail leads as far as Malaysia. Beyond that, nothing. Later, Hae-in and Hyun-woo sit quietly together. For a brief moment, everything feels calm. Almost normal. When Hyun-woo looks at her, Hae-in reacts with a familiar shyness, as if time itself has briefly reversed. But the peace does not last. Yoon-sung suddenly appears before them. His frustration is impossible to hide. Despite every effort, he had never succeeded in winning Hae-in's heart. Bitterness drives his words. Accusations. Doubts. Old wounds reopened. Hae-in remains calm. Unshaken. Hyun-woo stands beside her, that reality alone speaks louder than anything else. Yoon-sung's hostility shifts toward Hyun-woo. Tension escalates instantly. Before the situation can spiral further, Hyun-woo strikes first. A single punch. A clear boundary drawn. The confrontation leaves no room for ambiguity. Hyun-woo's resolve is unmistakable. Meanwhile, Hae-in and Hyun-woo begin searching for Grandpa's secret fund. Records are examined. Clues revisited. Fragments of the past pieced together. But progress remains painfully slow. The next day, a special legal team is formed within the company to pursue action against Hyun-woo. However, his friends respond strategically. Every accusation weakens. Every claim collapses. Confusion spreads within the team. Eventually, the charges dissolve on their own. Elsewhere, Soo-hyun continues pressuring Grandpa, demanding information about the fund. But Grandpa truly remembers nothing. Back at home, in a quieter moment, Hae-in brings a hairdryer to Hyun-woo. Only he knows how to use it properly. As he gently dries her hair, he suggests buying her a new one. But Hae-in refuses. She finds comfort in the simplest truth. It is not the hairdryer that matters. It is the person standing beside her. Then her voice grows softer. A heavier reality surfaces. She knows her condition will worsen. And when the next serious symptom appears, she wants Hyun-woo to leave her. When Hae-in tells Hyun-woo that he should leave once her condition worsens, he remains silent. He simply looks at her. The silence itself becomes his answer. Soon after, the butler informs them that Grandpa's secret fund may be connected to a warehouse. Without wasting time, Hae-in and Hyun-woo disguise themselves and head there quietly. However, they are not the only ones who sense something unusual. Yoon-sung notices the warehouse name in a suspicious email and grows alert. He decides to investigate the location as well. Inside the warehouse, Hae-in and Hyun-woo successfully access and transfer the necessary data. Just as they prepare to leave, rain begins pouring heavily. Hyun-woo removes his coat and gently places it over Hae-in's shoulders before running to bring the car around. While waiting, Hae-in suddenly feels dizzy. When she opens her eyes again, she sees Hyun-woo standing before her. The moment feels strange. They leave in the car, and exhaustion quickly overtakes Hae-in. She falls asleep. As Hyun-woo drives, something unsettling catches his attention. Another vehicle is following them. He immediately wakes her and asks her to sit properly. Moments later, the pursuing car overtakes them and blocks the road. A man steps out. The sight shocks Hae-in. For a brief second, he resembles Hyun-woo. Yet something feels different. Yoon-sung is seated inside that car. The truth becomes painfully clear. Hae-in's illness is causing visual confusion, a frightening symptom of her deteriorating condition. Earlier, after reviewing CCTV footage, Hae-in had recognized a truck. That discovery led them to suspect that Grandpa's secret might actually be hidden inside their own house. Back in the present, Hae-in remains shaken. She decides not to reveal everything to Hyun-woo just yet. Instead, she tells him that she will accompany Hyun-sung to meet Grandpa and asks him not to worry. She leaves with Hyun-sung. The moment she is gone, Hyun-woo is struck on the head from behind. He collapses unconscious. When he regains awareness, he finds himself tied up inside a car. The broker is preparing to inject him with an unknown substance. Meanwhile, Hyun-sung brings Hae-in to the house and casually suggests dinner before meeting Grandpa. Inside, Hae-in notices one of her pens and quietly keeps it with her. Hyun-sung appears unusually eager to dine with her. During this time, he receives a call from the broker informing him that Hyun-woo has been handled. Instead of responding with relief, Hyun-sung coldly instructs the broker not to contact him for a few days and switches off his phone. After dinner, Hae-in proceeds to see Grandpa. Outside, an unexpected scene unfolds. Hyun-woo appears, confronting Hyun-sung. Tension escalates instantly. Soon after, Hae-in steps out, instructing them to take care of Grandpa. She leaves the area. But then, something terrifying happens. She forgets the way out of the house. Disoriented, she notices a car. Hyun-woo steps out. She begins walking toward him. Only to suddenly perceive Hyun-sung's face instead. The confusion overwhelms her. She collapses. When Hyun-woo reaches her, fear and uncertainty dominate her expression. She struggles to distinguish reality from illusion. Gradually, recognition returns. Relief follows. Elsewhere, Hyun-sung checks CCTV footage and is stunned to see Hyun-woo alive. He immediately contacts the broker. But the broker is furious. A flashback reveals the truth. Just before the injection, Hyun-woo had advised the broker to confirm whether Yoon-sung would genuinely support him afterward. The broker made the call. What he sensed was hesitation. Calculation. Realizing he was being manipulated, the broker abandoned the plan and released Hyun-woo. Now safe, Hyun-woo takes Hae-in to his small flat for the first time. She observes the space quietly. The simplicity of it contrasts sharply with everything she is used to. Hyun-woo prepares food for her. She tastes it and genuinely enjoys it. In that calm, ordinary moment, Hae-in reflects on her feelings. Despite everything, her choice remains unchanged. Meanwhile, Soo-hyun attempts to convince Yoon-sung to forget Hae-in, labeling her a threat. But Yoon-sung remains unmoved. Back at the flat, Hae-in reveals something important. She had previously given Grandpa a pen equipped with an audio recording function. If Grandpa regains his memory, he may record something vital. Later that night, Hyun-woo falls asleep on the sofa. Hae-in quietly approaches him and gently touches his face. The moment is soft. Intimate. Elsewhere, Grace informs Soo-hyun and Yoon-sung that the secret fund is hidden inside the house. The next day, Hyun-woo takes Hae-in to watch a sunset. As the sky turns golden, he presents a ring. Hope flickers briefly. But fear soon overshadows it. Hae-in's condition is worsening. The boundaries between reality and illusion are beginning to blur. She is terrified of losing the ability to distinguish truth from distortion. Both of them stand there, overwhelmed by the weight of that reality. Hae-in returns to the car. Meanwhile, Grandpa is shown pretending to swallow the medicine Soo-hyun provides. But secretly, he hides it instead. He is no longer as helpless as they believe. Meanwhile, in another part of the house, Hyun-woo and the rest of the family continue trying to unravel the mystery of the secret fund. Suddenly, Hae-in remembers something. The previous day, Grandpa had mentioned a panic room. At the time, the meaning had not been clear. Her father then confirms that a panic room does indeed exist within the house. However, no one knows how to access it. Hyun-woo thinks carefully. Whoever designed the house would certainly know the entrance. At the same time, Yoon-sung and Soo-hyun are also searching for the hidden entry. Elsewhere, Dae-hee unexpectedly returns. The moment Soo-cheol sees her and their son, his entire demeanor changes. Relief. Happiness. Emotion long suppressed. Dae-hee apologizes to the family. But one truth becomes immediately clear. She has not returned to stay. She has come back only to return everything she stole. Back to the mystery, Hyun-woo finally discovers the entrance. A hidden door concealed behind the elevator. The path leading directly to the panic room. But before the discovery can change anything, tragedy strikes. In the middle of the night, Grandpa awakens alone. Quietly, he records a message using Hae-in's pen. Then, in silence, he moves his wheelchair toward the staircase. And in a devastating moment, he falls. By morning, Hyun-woo and the family arrive at the house with the police, hoping to confront him. Instead, they are met with heartbreaking news. Grandpa is gone. Shock spreads through the family like a wave. With his death, the power of attorney Soo-hyun had secured immediately becomes meaningless. The family returns home carrying Grandpa's framed photograph. Their steps are slow. Heavy. As if the house itself shares their grief. Finally, they enter the elevator. It descends. The hidden door opens. They step into the panic room. And freeze. It is empty. Completely empty. Yet the dust scattered across the floor tells its own story. Money had once been stored there. Seo-ly and Yoon-sung had arrived first. Later, Hae-in listens to Grandpa's final recording. In it, regret fills every word. A quiet plea for forgiveness. An acknowledgement of mistakes. And then, a final expression of love. The message breaks something deep within Hae-in. At Grandpa's funeral, grief overwhelms her completely. Watching the burial, a terrifying thought surfaces. The fragility of life. The inevitability of loss. Then, something shifts. A powerful realization emerges. Hae-in wants to live. Hyun-woo's emotions collapse under the weight of those words. He holds her hand tightly, as if anchoring her to the world she is fighting to remain in. Elsewhere, Seo-ly reveals the truth to Yoon-sung. She takes him to the relocated secret fund. Even he is stunned by the scale of it. She explains how Grandpa once recorded a detailed video tour of the house. Within that footage, the entrance to the panic room had been revealed. Before the family could uncover the truth, Seo-ly had already moved the money. They had always remained one step ahead. Soon after, Hyun-woo receives an unexpected call from the doctor. There is a treatment. Hae-in can be treated. For the first time in a long while, hope returns. Hyun-woo rushes to inform Hae-in and her father. Relief floods the room. Happiness long absent finally resurfaces. But then, another reality emerges. A devastating side effect. After the treatment, Hae-in will lose her memories. She will forget everyone. Silence fills the space. The possibility of saving her life now carries a cruel cost. To survive, she must forget the very people she loves. The news of the treatment leaves both Hyun-woo and Hae-in deeply shaken. There is hope. But it comes with a terrifying cost. That night, the entire family gathers at the dinner table as the possibility of Hae-in's treatment is revealed. Joy spreads instantly. Smiles return. For the first time in weeks, the house feels alive again. Yet one truth remains unspoken. No one mentions the side effect. No one reveals that survival may come at the price of forgotten memories. Overwhelmed with relief, Hae-in begins to cry. She had already accepted death. She had prepared herself to disappear. And now, unexpectedly, life offers her another chance. Hyun-woo gently comforts her. That night, they fall asleep beside each other, holding on tightly, like two people afraid that morning might change everything. The next day, Hae-in wakes with quiet determination. Together, they step away from hospitals, business conflicts, and fear. For a single day. It is only them. They go out. They take pictures. They laugh with a familiarity that feels almost forgotten. Hae-in smiles freely, the wind moving through her hair as if time itself has briefly paused. At one point, the old MP3 player resurfaces. With it comes another realization. It had always belonged to her. Their meeting no longer feels accidental. For Hyun-woo, the memory awakens something deeply personal. From the very first moment he saw her, she had felt like a dream. Yet she disappeared before he could ever find her again. To him, she remained like an unfinished story. Leaving behind only the MP3 player as proof she had ever existed. The realization fills Hae-in with quiet happiness. Emotion settles between them once more. The distance that once defined them feels fragile. Temporary. For the first time, certainty replaces hesitation. Hyun-woo does not hold back. He pulls her into his arms. But beneath the warmth of the moment, another emotion quietly surfaces. Tears. Because he understands what lies ahead. Elsewhere, Hyun-woo begins planning his next move. The secret fund may finally become the key to trapping Yoon-sung. But before anything can unfold, shocking news arrives. The broker's dead body is discovered in a deserted location. The situation has grown darker than anyone anticipated. Back at home, Hae-in makes a decision. She informs her family that she and Hyun-woo will stay at the flat together. They will not return to the house. This time, she chooses where she belongs. Meanwhile, Yoon-sung learns that Hae-in's treatment will take place in Germany. Without hesitation, he orders the butler to gather every possible detail. He is not finished. Hae-in and Hyun-woo arrive at the small flat. An elderly neighbor notices them together and assumes they are newlyweds. She smiles warmly, unaware of the quiet storm surrounding them. And for a brief moment, they truly look like newlyweds. Hearing that even the neighbor believed they looked like newlyweds, Hae-in is filled with quiet happiness. From that day onward, she and Hyun-woo decide to spend every possible moment together. No wasted time. No regrets. They begin collecting memories as if preserving something precious for the future. They visit the baseball field. Hyun-woo hands her the bat, explaining that whenever life becomes too complicated, hitting the ball makes everything feel simple again. Then his focus shifts entirely to her. Nothing else seems to matter. All he wants is for her to recover. The sincerity of his concern brings a soft, fragile smile to Hae-in's face. Meanwhile, Yoon-sung approaches Hyun-woo with unsettling calmness. He is fully aware of their trip to Germany. He knows about the treatment. He even knows about the side effect. Yet his reaction remains disturbingly composed. Rather than expressing shock, he reveals something unexpected. He does not want Hae-in to ever learn the truth about the consequences of the treatment. The statement feels less like concern and more like quiet control. Determined to fulfill every wish of hers before time runs out, Hyun-woo creates artificial snowfall inside Hae-in's department store. It had always been her dream to witness early snowfall there. As white flakes drift down indoors, Hae-in stands beneath them, overwhelmed with wonder. For a brief moment, she looks like a child experiencing winter for the first time. Then, a long-buried realization surfaces. Memories connect. Fragments align. The boy she once searched for. The bus she secretly followed. The face she could never forget. It had always been Hyun-woo. The truth leaves him frozen in disbelief. Moments later, joy erupts uncontrollably. Hae-in watches his reaction with quiet amusement. His happiness feels almost overwhelming. Playful irritation replaces sentimentality, and she walks away with a lightness that feels rare. The next day, they leave for Germany. But inside the airplane, Hyun-woo cannot quiet his thoughts. Again and again, the same fear returns. The treatment may save her life. But it may also erase him from her memory. At the hospital in Germany, surrounded by sterile silence, Hyun-woo finally confronts the unavoidable truth. He tells Hae-in everything. The treatment. The side effect. The possibility of survival. And the possibility of forgetting everyone. For a moment, disbelief overtakes her. Then clarity settles in. The decision forms quietly. She does not want the treatment. Hyun-woo's emotions collapse instantly. Fear. Desperation. An unbearable refusal to accept the alternative. For him, only one outcome matters. Hae-in must live. And then, the story drifts backward. To the night before they left. The flashback reveals what Hyun-woo did the night before their departure. Alone in the dim light, he recorded a video for Hae-in. He spoke softly and carefully, as if choosing words that might one day need to rebuild their entire love story. He promised that even if she were to forget him, he would remind her of everything. How they met. How they argued. How they loved. Their story, he believed, could always begin again. At the end of the recording, his voice trembled slightly as he whispered 3 simple words. Meanwhile, the memory shifts further back, 3 years earlier. Hae-in had once watched an elderly man placing flowers on his wife's grave. The scene moved her deeply. Hyun-woo had quietly admitted that he could never do something like that. Because, without her, he would not even be alive. The sincerity of those words had left Hae-in shy and visibly happy. Back in the present, the investigation into the broker's death intensifies. Suspicion spreads in every direction. At the same time, Yoon-seom leaves for Germany. His arrival is not driven by concern. He carries a new plan. One still hidden from everyone else. Elsewhere, Hyun-woo stands alone inside a quiet church. He folds his hands and prays. Not for himself. Not for justice. Only for Hae-in. He prays that she agrees to the treatment. That she survives. When he later shares this with her, Hae-in responds with a faint, bittersweet smile. To her, it feels like a cruel prayer. She cannot accept the thought of losing her memories. Those memories are her life. Her love. Her family. Her past. Without them, survival feels empty. She has lived her life on her own terms. And now, she wishes to face death the same way. Hyun-woo stands there in silence. Unable to argue. Unable to change her mind. Their parents also try to persuade her. They plead for her to choose life. But Hae-in answers gently. A life without memory, she believes, is not the life she wants. The room fills with helpless quiet. Finally, the doctor calls Hyun-woo aside. The surgery cannot be delayed any longer. Further hesitation may cost her life entirely. Time is running out. Hyun-woo walks slowly toward Hae-in's hospital room. When Hyun-woo enters Hae-in's hospital room, she is nowhere to be seen. Panic grips him instantly. He rushes through the corridors, searching desperately, calling out for her, checking every corner, until his steps finally lead him to the nearby church. There, resting on a bench, he finds a handwritten note. It explains her decision. She wants to live with her memories until her very last breath. His hands tremble as he reads. Then, a little farther away, he sees her. Hae-in is standing alone, crying quietly. Without hesitation, he runs to her and pulls her into his arms. The fear he has been holding back finally breaks through. He begs her to agree to the surgery. Even if she does not recognize him afterward, he promises he will remain by her side. He will remind her of everything. He will make her fall in love with him again. He is willing to do anything, even become the playful, carefree version of himself she once teased. But Hae-in gently removes his hand. And walks away. After that, Hyun-woo deliberately distances himself. He refuses to respond to her with warmth. He laughs loudly, surrounds himself with other women, pretending not to care. Hae-in watches in silence. Jealousy slowly rises within her. Unable to ignore it any longer, she walks toward him and shows him her ring. A quiet reminder that he is still her husband. Hyun-woo dismisses the tension lightly, claiming he is only teasing her. Later, Hyun-woo steps into a shop while Hae-in waits in the parked car. Moments pass. Then, a truck crashes violently into the vehicle. The impact shatters the stillness. Hyun-woo turns at the sound and runs toward the car in horror. Smoke begins rising. The door refuses to open. Desperation takes over as he strikes the glass again and again, ignoring the pain tearing through his hand. And then, a realization hits him. Hae-in is not inside. He hears her voice behind him. He turns. She is standing there. Alive. Relief overwhelms him completely. His strength collapses, replaced by tears as he pulls her into a fierce embrace. In that moment, Hae-in finally understands the depth of his fear. Later, as she leads him to have his injured hand treated, she studies him quietly. A single thought settles in her heart. If his grief is this unbearable even at the thought of losing her, then perhaps she cannot leave so easily. With quiet resolve, she makes her decision. She agrees to the surgery. Hyun-woo's relief is immediate and unmistakable. In Germany, before the operation, the two of them revisit the places tied to their shared memories. Each step feels heavier. Each moment more fragile. The night before surgery, they lie side by side on the hospital bed. The silence between them carries everything words cannot express. Hae-in gently asks if there is anything he wishes to say. Anything left unspoken. Hyun-woo finally admits the truth. He loves her. It is the one thing he never properly expressed through all the years they spent together. Hae-in smiles faintly. All she wants now is a simple life with him. A normal life. Yet even this feels cruelly uncertain. Soon, she will forget. Forget the pain. Forget the love. Forget even these final words. Hyun-woo answers with quiet certainty. If that happens, he will say everything again. He will love her again. He will wait for her again. Before drifting to sleep, Hae-in hands him a diary. Something she wrote for herself. After the surgery, he must return it to her. When the time finally arrives, she looks at him with fragile seriousness. After the surgery, she will trust the first person she sees. Hyun-woo promises without hesitation. It will be him. He will be there when she opens her eyes. He will never leave her side. Holding on to that promise. Hae-in is wheeled toward the operating theater. And the doors slowly close. Before Hae-in was taken into surgery, Hyun-woo stood firm beside her. He smiled. He reassured her. He gave her strength. But the moment the operating room doors closed, his composure collapsed. Because deep down, he knew that even if she survived, she might forget him completely. In his hands was the diary she had entrusted to him. Then finally, her name appeared on the recovery board. Surgery successful. Relief surged through him. But it lasted only seconds. Police officers suddenly arrived with an arrest warrant issued in Hyun-woo's name, for the murder of the broker. Before he could even comprehend what was happening, they began dragging him away. He pleaded desperately for a little time. Just one moment. Just to see her. And then, Yoon-sung appeared. Calm. Unshaken. Completely in control. He told Hyun-woo that he would take care of Hae-in now. In that instant, Hyun-woo understood. This had all been planned. Yoon-sung feigned righteousness, claiming he was merely protecting his wife from a criminal. At that very moment, Hae-in was wheeled out of surgery. Hyun-woo tried to reach her. But the police restrained him. Helpless, he was taken away. News of his arrest spread rapidly. Back home, his friends immediately began working to prove his innocence. At the same time, Hae-in's father ordered the family to leave for Germany, knowing she was alone there. But at the hospital, they discovered a devastating obstacle. Yoon-sung had already filed a case against them. They were legally barred from leaving Korea. Hae-in had no one by her side. When she finally regained consciousness, Yoon-sung was there. The first name she whispered was Baek Hyun-woo. For a brief moment, Yoon-sung's composure faltered. Then, without hesitation, he began reshaping reality. He told her that Hyun-woo had mistreated her. That she had suffered because of him. That he was a criminal now sitting behind bars. He claimed her family had not even bothered to visit. Lie after lie filled the silence. With no one present to challenge his words, doubt slowly took root. He went further. He convinced her that the two of them had always loved each other. That they were about to be married. Outside the hospital, snow began falling. Hae-in did not even understand why tears continued to fall from her eyes. A memory buried deep within her subconscious was struggling to survive. The reason soon became clear. The night before surgery, Hyun-woo had once told her that during law school, whenever he needed to remember something important, he would repeat it again and again. So Hae-in had done the same. She repeated his name. Relentlessly. Until exhaustion overtook her. That was why she remembered. Back in custody, Hyun-woo, consumed by despair, took her diary and threw it into the fire, believing she would never need it again. But the falling snow dampened the flames. The diary did not burn completely. Meanwhile, Yoon-sung continued constructing his version of the truth. He showed Hae-in his bandaged hand. He spoke about the car accident. He claimed he had broken the glass believing she was trapped inside. He stole Hyun-woo's memories. And made them his own. With no competing voice, Hae-in slowly accepted his story. Hyun-woo endured relentless interrogation. He insisted he was being framed. No one listened. Eventually, he was transferred back to Korea. 1 month later, Hae-in also returned to Korea, accompanied by Yoon-sung. Her demeanor had changed. She spoke coldly to her family. Distant. Guarded. Within that single month, Yoon-sung's influence had quietly reshaped her emotions. At the same time, Yoon-sung uncovered something that ignited his anger. The attack on Hae-in had not been random. It had been orchestrated by Seo-ly. Inside Grandpa's room, a painting Yoon-sung had once gifted concealed a hidden camera. Everything had been recorded. Including the moment Seo-ly drugged Grandpa. Now, Yoon-sung turned the threat toward her. After Hyun-woo, it was her turn to face prison. For the first time, Seo-ly appeared shaken. Back at the house, Hae-in searched her room. Nothing triggered memory. Nothing stirred emotion. Then she entered Hyun-woo's old room. There, she found the MP3 player. Something shifted within her. A faint but undeniable disturbance. Drawn by something she could not explain, she decided to visit him in jail. The moment Hyun-woo saw her, emotion overwhelmed him. But Hae-in remained cold. Detached. Convinced she already knew the truth. Yet Hyun-woo said nothing defensive. Nothing desperate. He simply looked at her. Visiting time ended too quickly. As he was led away, he quietly asked her to take care of herself. After leaving the prison, Hae-in felt her heartbeat race uncontrollably. An emotion without explanation. The next day, Yoon-sung escorted her to the office. By then, he had already transferred her entire department. Employees were bound by strict agreements forbidding them from revealing anything. But Hae-in made one unexpected decision. She brought back her old secretary. Because despite everything, she wanted the truth about herself. Meanwhile, Hyun-woo's friends and BMJ's detective gathered CCTV footage and decisive evidence. Proof that Hyun-woo had been framed. In court, the truth finally surfaced. Hyun-woo was honorably acquitted. Outside the courthouse, Hae-in stood quietly. When Hyun-woo turned around, she hid instinctively. But she followed him. All the way to his hometown. There, she observed Soo-cheol. Then Hyun-woo's parents. Their warmth. Their kindness. A quiet contrast to everything she had been told. Her secretary gently suggested what Hae-in herself could not yet admit. That sometimes the heart moves before the mind understands. Hae-in dismissed the thought. But something within her was undeniably shifting. Meanwhile, far away in Germany. Hospital staff recovered a partially burned diary. Recognizing its importance, the hospital staff sent the recovered diary to Hae-in's registered address in Korea. At the same time, Hyun-woo receives something critical. Dae-hee hands him a pen drive. Evidence. Inside it is everything needed to expose Yoon-sung. The truth is finally within reach. Back at the office, Hae-in comes face to face with Hyun-woo. They step outside. Her tone is distant and restrained. She tells him to leave the office, admitting that his presence makes her uncomfortable. Hyun-woo does not argue. He simply looks at her. As she turns to leave, her bag suddenly gets caught on a chair. For a brief second, she assumes Hyun-woo is holding her back. Irritation flashes across her face. But when she turns and notices the strap tangled in the chair, realization replaces anger. A quiet embarrassment settles in. Soon after, Hae-in receives an invitation email from the aquarium. Curiosity leads her there. Inside, she finds Hyun-woo waiting. Suspicion rises immediately. She wonders if he arranged everything. Calmly, Hyun-woo shows her his phone. The invitation had come from her. Then, the large screen lights up. Their wedding video begins playing. The vows. The smiles. The promises once made without hesitation. Both of them stand there, overwhelmed by memories that feel both distant and painfully close. A staff member approaches with a bouquet. He explains that 1 month earlier, Ms. Hae-in had reserved the entire aquarium. Hae-in is visibly shaken. She cannot understand why she would have done something like that. Then she notices the card attached to the bouquet. The handwriting is unmistakably hers. A reminder of their wedding. Hyun-woo gently tells her that he is not asking for blind trust. Instead, he advises her to doubt everything and everyone. Only through doubt, he says, can she truly see who belongs in her life and who is merely pretending. Later, a small inconsistency begins disturbing Hae-in's thoughts. Earlier, Yoon-sung had shown her a bandaged hand as proof of his concern. But when she looks again, there is no injury. That night, unease drives her to confront him. Yoon-sung behaves with effortless calmness, offering to get her. Back in her room, her eyes fall upon a parcel from Germany. She opens it. Inside, her diary. Her hands tremble as she begins reading. The first page is addressed to Hyun-woo. A plea written before surgery. A promise filled with hope. Tears begin falling silently. As she turns the pages, the truth unfolds piece by piece. She had written everything for herself. Every memory. Every emotion. Every detail of their story. Their first meeting. The misunderstandings. The love that slowly grew between them. The pain that nearly destroyed them. The promise made before surgery. Page after page rebuilds the emotions she had lost. On the final page, a single truth stands clear and undeniable. Hyun-woo is the reason she chose to live. Hyun-woo is the reason she wanted her memories back. Hyun-woo is where she truly belongs. Her breathing grows heavier. The illusions begin collapsing. Without hesitation, Hae-in grabs her car keys and rushes out to find Hyun-woo. But she is not the only one moving. Yoon-sung notices. And follows her. The final confrontation is now inevitable. Yoon-sung had placed a tracker on Hae-in's car. That was how he knew exactly where she was going. Hae-in and Hyun-woo stood on opposite sides of the road, finally about to reach each other. But fate intervened. A bus passed between them. And when it moved away, Hae-in was gone. At the very same moment, a speeding car slammed into Hyun-woo. He collapsed instantly. In the next scene, the truth emerges. Yoon-sung had been behind the wheel. Meanwhile, Hae-in regains consciousness in an unfamiliar room. Confused. Disoriented. Alone. Realization slowly settles in. She has been kidnapped. Yoon-sung stands before her, forcing himself to appear calm. But desperation lingers beneath the surface. Hae-in reacts quickly. She pretends that her meeting with Hyun-woo had only been for closure. That it meant nothing. Eager to believe her, Yoon-song accepts the. Elsewhere, Hyun-woo's family rushes to the hospital. But his bed is empty. It is soon revealed that Hyun-woo has already left in secret, traveling in a taxi despite his injuries. With the butler's help, he traces Hae-in's location. A hunting ground villa. Overwhelmed by pain, barely able to stand, Hyun-woo enters through a side door. He has no strength left for confrontation. Only one purpose drives him forward. Hae-in. He finds her. And together, they run. Outside, Yoon-song notices the escape. He grabs a gun. Hae-in, trembling and tearful, apologizes as she struggles to support Hyun-woo. Then, Yoon-song sees them. At the same time, distant police sirens cut through the air. Yoon-song has lost all restraint. He calls out to Hae-in. She refuses. Without hesitation. Without fear. That rejection shatters whatever control he has left. Rage replaces reason. He raises the gun. And fires. Hyun-woo steps in front of her. The bullet tears through his shoulder. In the very next second, police open fire. Yoon-song collapses. Silence follows. Hyun-woo is rushed to the hospital. Before being taken into intensive care, he weakly grips Hae-in's hand. Moments later, the doors close. As she waits outside, memories surge through her mind. Germany. The diary. The promises. The love she nearly lost. This time, nothing is blurred. Nothing is missing. She remembers everything. Tears fall uncontrollably. Hyun-woo's condition remains critical. Both families wait in silent agony. Meanwhile, Soo-hyun moves quickly. She transfers Yoon-song's shares into her own name and conceals the secret fund, preparing to disappear. But events no longer unfold in her favor. Hyun-woo's condition stabilizes. Though still unconscious, Hae-in remains by his side. Exhausted. Frightened. Refusing to leave. She gently scolds him, admitting that she has neither eaten nor slept. That if he refuses to wake, she may fall ill herself. And then. His eyes open. Relief crashes over her. Emotion overwhelms her. But Hyun-woo says only one thing. He loves her. Their hands tighten around each other. This time, the tears are different. Not from fear. But from survival. From gratitude. From love that endured everything. In the hospital room, surrounded by family, a fragile happiness slowly returns. Elsewhere, Grandpa's eldest son reappears. The three siblings reunite. Together, they begin reclaiming the company. Seol's downfall soon follows. With the butler and Dae-hee testifying, the truth finally surfaces in court. Seo is sentenced. The family regains everything that was taken. Dae-hee and the butler receive 2-year sentences, while Soo-cheol steps forward to care for his son. Life, slowly and imperfectly, begins healing. Byung-ja's own love story quietly blossoms. Hyun-woo proposes to Hae-in once more. This time without hesitation. Without uncertainty. Hae-in accepts. Though she asks for a little time. Not out of doubt. But peace. Time passes. 2 years later, Hyun-woo and Hae-in welcome a daughter. Their lives, once shattered, now feel complete. Love, tested by loss, grows even stronger. Years drift by. Then. 50 years later. An elderly Hyun-woo stands before Hae-in's grave. Fresh flowers rest gently in his hands. A soft smile touches his face. They had lived 50 years together. Like newlyweds. Every single day. Hae-in had left a little earlier than he wished. But she had left with her memories intact. And as snow begins falling quietly around him, Hyun-woo stands there in silence. In that stillness, it feels as though she is smiling once again. The drama ends here. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like, share, and subscribe for more videos. See you next time.